Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, August the 31st, 2023. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could join us. Today we are back. And by we, I mean I'm back. Jeff's been here. He hasn't gone anywhere. But I'm back. After a wonderful trip to the Philippines, I have returned. Let me post that. Live message would be a good start. And do that because all of the API stuff for Twitter is broken now, so I have to do that manually. And we'll get going here soon, I swear. X.com, by the way. My apologies. Not Twitter. It's X.com. It does everything, Jeff. I don't know if you know this, but this website is doing everything. We're doing banking soon. We're doing voice and video. Announced that the other day. Voice and video on X.com. There we go. We're all set up. We made the magic happen. It's another Tech Elf podcast, as always. Like I was saying, great show. We got some good stuff to talk about. I'll talk about my trip, obviously. Not at crazy length, but I'll talk about the trip. But before we get to that, most important question of the week. I won't ask how the last 4 weeks have been, but I'll ask how the last week has been. Mr. Black, how's your week?
This week, it's been all right. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty hard in the paint while you were gone. And then I took yesterday kind of off. There was something else going on, but I don't know. I forget. Oh, Kai starts school next week, so we're prepping for that.
Fuck. So is that like the preschool kind of a deal?
It's pretty primary. Yeah. So it's glorified daycare, right? It's like daycare at school.
It's getting them used to being in a room with other kids for a set period of time per day before they actually have to start doing things like adding 1 + 1.
Yeah. So that's happening. Yeah, that's pretty
kind
much
of exciting, though.
Yeah, it is exciting because, like, you know, he'll be out of the house for 6 hours a day. He can mingle with other kids. Kayla can go and do some work again. Yeah, it's exciting. It is. But yeah, outside of that, it's been the same old same. I had access and I did play Stormgate. So I was
you actually you played it.
I played games. Yes.
Wow.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't talk about any of it.
Of course.
It's like under NDA. So I did that a little bit while you were gone, and yeah, that's been streaming. That's it.
Wonderful. Yes, I saw, you know, obviously snippets when I had Wi-Fi of you doing some lag TV says.
I was trying to just make content because
just whenever you get out there. I know.
Yeah, we ran out, and I
thought we had enough content when I left, and then that was gone for an extra week. Yeah, true.
So you were gone for for a week.
That's true.
So that extra week, we didn't really.
Yeah, we didn't have anything.
We didn't have much, right? So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, it's good. Yeah, I mean, my trip was great. I guess I'll give a summary of it. I mean, it went really well. In general, right up until the end, of course, where the wheels fell off, but we were lucky that they fell off at the end and not in the beginning or the middle. So yeah, the trip was great. The flight there, or the flights with an S there, were good. No hitches. I mean, honest, like, you know, you and I have the worst travel luck in the world. So I was like, man, if, just going to the States, we have never not had some sort of cataclysmic bullshit happen. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I gotta fly to the other side of the world. What kind of fuckery could possibly go on when we're flying all the way around the world? Thankfully, against all odds, nothing went wrong. And I'm going to say that the majority of that is because we weren't using North American related airlines. I'm going to give a shout out to the rest of the world for having their shit together, because back here at home, holy shit, our airlines fucking suck. We used Air Canada to get from here to Toronto, and then everything else was Air Korea, or Korean Air, I should say. And I can wholly recommend, if you're doing any overseas travel and they service those destinations, use them. Oh my God, the efficiency off the charts, bonkers good. They feed you every 4 hours plus snacks in between, like military precision. You gotta watch out. You can time that shit. They are out with carts everywhere. Everyone's got meals. You've got like 2 to 3 options per meal as to what you're gonna have. All of them hot, if you want them to be hot options. And all of the food was actually legitimately fucking good. I was mind fucked the whole time I was on that plane. Was it comfortable? No planes are comfortable for me unless I'm in first class, but the seat wasn't that bad. Certainly better than most because the headrest could at least move up and down. Like on Air Canada, a lot of their planes, the seat is just one molded thing. There's no adjustment. So I'm just like fucking like this in the seat with my fucking knees up around my ears and like just no room. But in this one, I was okay. I survived. It was okay. But I will say that they just ran it like clockwork. In fact, there was one part we were getting off one of the planes when we were on Korean Air. And one of the flight attendants, she had an Apple Watch. They all had Apple Watches on. Or it was a Samsung watch. It could have been either one of them. Probably Korean Air's probably Samsung. Anyway, she looked down as soon as we had taxied and we were at the airport to start like deplaning. As soon as the deplaning process starts, I see her look down and press the fucking timer button on her watch. She was timing the deplane fucking mode to see how long it took them to successfully clear the plane of all of its passengers and clean the plane for the next fucking go. Shit was crazy. It really, like, when we got back and we were using Air Canada again to get back to Halifax, and just like everyone, like, it took forever to get on the plane. They did the worst boarding process I've ever seen in my life. It took 5 times as long to board 1/3 the number of passengers as it did for Korean Air. Just to go from Toronto to Halifax, the boarding time was an hour. We were there in Pearson for an hour. And this woman that kept doing the PA stuff to announce, like the classic, like, we're going to start with, like, insert fucking whatever, section, or not section. It's like a, premium ultra dick sucking fucking whatever plan. They get in first, and then like nobody goes up because nobody's paying for that shit. And they're like, all right, well, we're now gonna board with the suboptimal dick sucking plan. And then there's like 58 plans. Then they get down to, all right, fine, the plebeians, zone 5 through zone 3. This whole time she was saying, like, if you're in these previous ones, come see me or come over to here. But then she wouldn't take anyone the whole time. So, like, she kept telling people to do things, but she wouldn't do anything. She was like the flight attendant version of the guy on the construction site, where the guys are, like, picking something up, and they're, like, walking behind with their hands underneath of the thing, but they're not actually lifting it to make it look like they were fucking doing something. That was her. Took an hour to board a plane with, like, 140 people. Shit was crazy. So eventually we got home, but regardless, I'm getting ahead of myself. Korean Air, fucking 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Didn't see a single Korean pop star in the airport. Very disappointed in Korea. But I will say this. The safety, fucking, the safety thing where normally they get up and they do like the buckle and the fucking whatever. None of that shit. They were too busy doing more important shit. You know what they did? They had Korean idols in a pre-recorded fucking like movie thing that just plays on all of the screens on the entire plane, where they have a song, they have a theme song for Korean Air done by like BTS or some shit, and they're singing and dancing through the whole thing, going through all the safety measures and shit, while other things are being done. There's no like dejected 40-something-year-old woman that's been flying around the world, taking a buckle that's been so worn to death that it's fraying, going, insert the buckle and fucking tighten it and reach under your seat for the fucking vest. Nah. Like, none of that shit. It was all being done. It was crazy. It was very interesting to see somebody do it differently. The trip in the Philippines itself was great. Weather held out despite the fact it was rainy season. It only rained a couple of times, so that was positive. Downside, it was 35 degrees plus 98% humidity every fucking day. Holy shit, it was hot. So hot. You get used to sweating, Mr. Black. You just get used to it. It's a perpetual state. You don't stop sweating. You just, as soon as you open the door from the hotel room or wherever the fuck you are, you get hit by a brick wall and then you sweat immediately, and it never stops for the rest of the day. Does not matter how hard you try, you are sweating the whole fucking time. And from every orifice, like you know the uncomfortable sweat where your hands start to sweat? That's the kind of sweat we're talking about here. But, beautiful country. Great time there. We got to, go on, we had, towards the end, we were with, on boat tours for like 12 hours a day, back-to-back days, going around to the islands. We got lots of great pictures, of course, and whatnot, and spent lots of good time there. Got to see all of her family and spend a lot of good time with her parents and her sister, and brother, and his family. And then we got to see, there was one day where all of the family, extended family, gets together, because like once a month they get together at this, one of the families, they've got a home up in the fucking, like outside the city, that they all go to, and they get hammered and sing karaoke. That's basically the idea. There's like 30, 40 people go there, they're all family, they all get wasted and sing karaoke. And so that's what we did. We went up into the mountains and got wasted and did karaoke. I did not. I watched everyone else do it, but I must say it was impressive all the same. They tried to get me to do it, but I was like, you do not want that to happen right now. We got a good thing going right now. We don't need to fuck that up with me singing karaoke. And they left me off the hook. That was wonderful of them. But nevertheless, it was great, great time, and got a little bit of a tan going. I think I got like a farmer's tan. Check that out. So this is pre and post. Although that even up there's a little tan, but I had to start wearing a shirt because I burned the fuck out of my shoulders when we were on the boat for 12 hours. There's not enough sunscreen in the world when you're sweating that much, Mr. Black. It doesn't exist. You could bathe in that shit and it just fucking slicks right off your ass in the first 30 minutes and then you're frying. So I had to wear a t-shirt for the rest of the time. But yeah, got myself a little bit of a tan. Food was wonderful. It was amazing. Thankfully not hard to get my hands on bottled water. Did not get the shits.
That's good.
Miracle. No shits were had.
That's good.
The whole time we were there. Everyone stared at me the whole time. The answer to the question is yes. Everyone. Everyone. It was insane. Some tried to hide it. Some did not give a fuck. Some would stare at you and you're locking eye contact and they would not break eye contact. They were locked in and like dead face just and I'd be like, I can't. I'm like, wow, I'm losing the staring contest right now. It's crazy. The first day we went to the mall was definitely the worst, like in terms of me noticing it. After a while, I stopped fucking paying attention because I just knew it was happening. But when we went to the mall the first day, everyone is just turning and looking and pointing. Mums are like getting their children around and pointing and like whispering at them and shit like I was some sort of fucking like, lost eighth wonder of the world walking through the fucking mall. Some like 80-year-old white dude with like a 14-year-old wife there was like staring at me and like tried to nod at me and I was like, bro, what the fuck is it? Don't nod at me. You're a fucking creepy son of a. We are not the same. I'm with somebody my age. We are not the same. Don't be looking at me like that. Bro, they are all over the place there too. I swear to God, dude, it's crazy.
Oh,
the 90 Day Fiance shit is 100% effect.
Bro.
100.
I bet everywhere you look, there's some white dude from North America with
old, specifically. Yeah. Old, which M said is part of why they're looking at us all the time, is that it's rare for like two people to be the same age.
Same age, yes.
They're used to seeing a 65 to 85-year-old bald, fat, white dude that's just walking around with a 23-year-old like Filipino wife that has like 4 children, and like that's what they're used to. So like it's like a weird fucking, and the women do it. Typically it's because they're very very poor and they're just getting themselves up out of some bullshit, and the white dudes are coming over because they can't land literally anything over here because they're useless human beings and they're being predatory fucktards over there in the Philippines. But it was creepy as shit, dude. It was everywhere, and it wasn't as noticeable like in where we were at first because we weren't in Manila most of the time. We were in another province, and then but when we went to Coron, we were on the island. That's like the foreigner destination where there's more like foreigners than there. Yeah, it's a touristy place.
Yeah, that's where you're gonna see it.
Dude, there are guys living there. Like they're just living. They don't leave. They're
Of
just
course.
they're just
And
there.
they're running through Filipino women. Just
Bro,
that it's dude.
he just
Yeah.
like we were there and there's just like this like fucking like 2 or 3 again old bald white dudes, fat as fuck, disgusting, sweating like a whore in church. Walk there, dude, leather skin. Like Hulk Hogan times 10, leather. Because they have been there for probably a decade and they haven't worn sunscreen once. And they're just walking around with their gut fucking out. One dude's at the bar, he goes, put it on my tab. And that's when I knew that dude has been there
Oh yeah, a hot minute.
a long time.
A hot minute, bro. If
Yeah.
you had conversations with them in a bar, I'm sure they'd give you some stories.
Oh my god. Well, one dude tried to start talking with me when it was me and M's brother sitting at the bar and another guy that was a foreigner and tried to strike up conversation. And I was just like, I gotta be honest, I ain't interested in whatever the fuck you have to say.
Whatever you're selling, bro.
Whatever you're selling, it ain't we again, like every time I look, I'm like, we are not the same person. You think that I'm here for the same reason we are not the same. We are not the same. But yeah, we got stared at all the fucking time. It was whatever. Like you get used to it. It is what it is. I will say there were a few other guys that weren't like old, but they were just there, and they were some of them were close to as tall as me. Like so, it wasn't like I was the only dude walking around that was really tall. But it was rare. Obviously,
is there many black people there? Do you see many black like?
I saw like one or two black foreigners. Wasn't very many. If we were in Manila, we'd probably see more, because Manila's like the city for like it's the main city. And if we were there during more peak times of travel, like
So
this is the off season. 100%. Oh, 100%. 100%, because it's not that many. Like, unless you were like at where all the tourists are and it was peak tourist season, they're not seeing that many black people there. Now, that being said, some of the islanders that are there, they're not like, they're not Japanese or Korean or something. Like, they are as pushing black as you can get without being black.
They're colored.
Yeah.
They're colored.
Yeah, so like you'll definitely get stared at because you're not the same in that regard, but there are some dark individuals down there for sure. No two ways around that. But it was great. Everyone was very nice. You have to get used to everyone trying to sell you something all the time. And I don't mean in the sense that you're just in a tourist spot where you're expecting like hawkers everywhere. I mean, this is like a Filipino thing everywhere you go. It does not matter. It's Filipinos selling to other Filipinos, Filipinos selling to tourists, Filipinos selling everything. It's everywhere. Everyone has a store at the front of their fucking home. Everyone is selling whatever they can get their hands on, whatever they can do to make money. They're doing the thing, which is a bit of the culture shock in that regard. You'll be in traffic, which by the way is fucking insane. Driving in the Philippines, you have to be certified insane driving in the Philippines. God bless them. I don't know how I didn't see a single accident, or I don't know how we didn't get in an accident when we were there. It's a different animal there. But you'll see people just walking around with random goods at traffic lights. Just selling shit constantly, like bottles of water, chips, beer, whatever the fuck, just walking through traffic, not getting hit miraculously. People like doing anything and everything, selling it everywhere all the time. You just kind of get used to seeing that. Everyone, there's like the taxis or like trikes, which are basically like a dirt bike or a bike, like a low CC bike with like a sidecar bolted to it. That you'd get around, like that's the main way of getting around side streets, and then you get into like taxis and taxis, not like we have, but like multi-cabs, which are basically like mini buses, again, prefab custom sheet metal fucking buses and shit. I wish I got more pictures of them. I didn't. You could easily see them online, but they're all custom. They've got like their own names and crazy shit, and people just like file on the back and like cram in like fucking sardines, and they'll get you from place to place. So it was very like traveling was a cultural shock thing as well. Traffic rules don't exist.
Well, no, dude, it's like it's bordering a third world country, right? Like it's not as poor and as bad as some other countries, but it ain't too far off.
Yeah,
it's
like even in Manila. The traffic rules don't, like the closest thing to traffic rules is that typically or technically speaking, there is a direction in which the vehicles are supposed to be moving. That's about the only rule. Yeah. Everything else,
People drive as fast as they want. They're fucking scooters, cars,
Bro.
fucking bikes. I mean, you fucking name it,
The
bro.
speed in which people are fucking motoring around and and passing other people and how close they get to everything at all times.
It's next level. It was the same way when I was in Dominican. I was like, what the fuck? How are there not people dead all the time?
Like the horns are just constantly because they're like warning people that you're coming up behind them, that you're about to pass them and shit. You'll be driving into oncoming traffic more than you'll be in your own fucking lane. Like, I just got used to the fact that we'd be in a vehicle driving and I'm looking out in front of me and there's a truck coming right toward, like, that you're just constantly into oncoming traffic.
Oh, here's the real question, Adam. Could you live in the Philippines? Is this a life that you can?
Zero. No. Zero chance. Not a chance in a million years. No. No. No shot.
No shot.
Can't do it
on that. He was quick. He didn't even think about it.
No. And like,
would you visit there again? Would you go there
yes,
again, or is it
I would visit there again? Yes,
I've done it.
Yeah.
Was it super expensive, or is like you basically are a god?
The flights are the problem. Yeah, the flights are the problem. Those are the expensive ones. Like the flight is like 80% of the cost of the trip. Like when you're there, the dollar has so much power that can you spend money? Yeah, absolutely. You can fucking spend it. You can go to like, Hilton's and shit and you're spending $500 a night just like you would anywhere else. But you don't have to do that. I think the secret to traveling the Philippines off of resort locations is you kind of either need to do an enormous amount of research, like just fucking bonkers research, because to get yourself around in the Philippines is paradoxically both easy because you can find like a trike or something to take you anywhere, but also difficult in that you have to have cash on you everywhere because very few people take cards of any kind. It's all cash, all coin, all everything. But then you also need to be able to know where the fuck you're going.
Yeah.
And it's very, like, if you don't know, like if M wasn't there, I wouldn't have been able to do 90% of what we did, even in the tourist spots. Like, it's very confusing to do anything there. So, like, I would go again, but it's only because I know that if I go, I'm going with M and I don't have to worry about anything. I can literally turn my brain off and just walk around like a zombie and she's just like, she's got everything under control. But if I was like suggesting for other people to go to the Philippines as a destination, I would suggest you almost guaranteed want to stick to the very touristy spots, and you still want to know what you're doing when you get there, and you want to make sure that you get used to bringing cash with you everywhere you fucking go, because it's required. Like, you'll walk into like a restaurant and like that looks like it's upscale because it is, and you're still paying cash like a lot of the time. Like is
it expensive? Like, did you guys go to a nice restaurant, and if so, like how much was like an expensive meal?
So we went to one or two what are considered nice restaurants when we were there. Not again, like if you want to do something stupid, like go to a Hilton where they're gonna like charge all of the foreigners like fucking $6 trillion. But we went to, because again, I'm with them, we get to go to all the nice places that are locals.
Yeah. And
so you don't get reamed as hard. That being said, way cheaper. I mean, it's not even close. And the food is good, especially if you're into seafood.
Way cheaper? Is it like a meal cost you like $10 US? $20
we fed 7 people for about a third the cost as you would here.
Ooh, wow.
That's what I'm talking about for cheap, and like that's what you like. Most of the food is shared there too. So when you have to get in the mindset that when you order something, even though it looks cheap, sometimes they'll say it's like how much it's meant for, like in terms of how many people. Otherwise, a lot of the time you have to ask, because you might order a bunch of shit and you've got enough food for fucking 6 weeks to show up to your fucking table, and you had no idea what you were ordering. Like, you'll order like a soup and they will bring like a fucking like just this tub and sit it on your table, and you're like, Jesus, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? So, like, that's another thing to get used to, but the food is, like, super cheap. Crazy cheap. And M said, the crazy part is, M said it's so much more expensive than just 5 years ago. Like, she was talking about, like, we were spending, when we were there, we were spending 30 or 40% more than just 4 years ago. So it was cheaper. Significantly. And we were still spending, like, nothing on food. Hotels were, like $70 to $100 a night.
Oh, fuck.
And that, now, granted, I want to put some asterisks on that one, all right? I got a couple little side pieces on this story here for about the hotels. We stayed in 4 stars, okay? 4-star in the Philippines is a very different animal than 4-star in North America or Europe. And you've got to, and you could go online and you'll see that there's lots of great reviews. You're getting 4.3, 4.5, whatever, hundreds and hundreds of reviews. That's because they're locals going there and they have a different standard than everyone else. Okay, it's a different animal. Now, I'm not saying that they're like dumps or some shit, or the people aren't nice that run it, or the food's bad. All that stuff is good. The problem is that couple things. One, the beds are all, except for one place we stayed, the beds were fucking atrocious. Not just small, but they were more like a futon than a bed. No springs, no nothing futon situation.
Damn.
Some of the places, the pillows were good. Others, pillows, okay, the last place we stayed in when I got, which was the worst because it was when we had COVID. It was fucking brutal. The bed is as old as the place, guaranteed 25-year-old bed, so it was super soft, like you were just sinking into it, which is not the end of the world. We're not so old that a soft bed's gonna kill us, but the pillows, you know that material that you can have for at-home gyms, they're like puzzle piece floors?
Yes.
Okay, that was basically the pillow.
Great.
So, like, the variability fucking all over the map for what your sleep is going to be like when you're there in the Philippines as far as the bed and pillow is concerned. The other thing to keep in mind, plumbing there, except for a couple of the, like, really nice hotels, typically not what you're going to be used to. It's old, it's run down, it's beat to shit. Some of it is completely... Now, it's not that you're getting dirty when you're in the shower or some shit, but it is like... The bathrooms would resemble more of like, even in a 4-star hotel in some places, because again, the variability is insane. In some places that we stayed, even though they're 4-star, these bathrooms were like bathrooms that you'd get in like a fucking dive motel that you're going to go fuck somebody in on the weekend type shit. Like that's
like
what
pink flower wallpaper in the fucking bathroom. The tiles are fucking old and
the taps
crusty,
falling
and
apart.
The taps are falling apart.
Yes, it's like that. Yeah, it's like
water
that.
pressure sucks.
Yeah,
it's just like,
all of it's rough. It's all of it. The last place we stayed,
it's to be expected though.
It's to be expected. Again, it's variable, and the problem, I think the bigger problem is that you can't figure it out by pictures or reviews or anything. One of the places that we stayed when we were there, or two of the places that we stayed in, were perfectly good. Were great. Everything was fine. Beds were good. Bathrooms were good. You know, they weren't, again, like crazy amazing, but they were fine. But some places would definitely shock some people. Like they'd be calling front desk going, "Can we get another room?" And then you go to another room and it's the exact same. Like you're not like it's that's.
Can we get to a different hotel?
And you're just never gonna know. Like in one place we stayed, there the sewer didn't back up, but gas would back up, and so it smelled like the bathroom just like fucking was leaking sewer gas. It smelled fucking goddamn terrible. And we moved to a different room, and it reduced it a bit. But that wasn't even a hotel thing. That was like city sewer problem. Like you weren't gonna go to a different hotel and have a different experience.
Yeah,
that was just what you were getting. And so like there was things like that. The last hotel though, I took a video of a couple of parts about it. When we got there, we weren't even supposed to be there because what happened was, M popped positive for COVID 2.5 days before we were set to leave the Philippines. We were at the part of the trip where it was just her and I, and we were in Palawan, and we had already done all the boat tours and everything, so that was already done. We were supposed to go and spend the last 2 days with her sister in Manila, and then grab flights from Manila back home, whatever, and off we pop. But she pops positive for COVID with a fever the night before we were leaving Palawan. And I was like, fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Because now we have to find a place to stay. We originally were going to go with her sister, but we're not about to go bunk up with her fucking sister and get her sister all fucked up in the process, because she's just got like a little 1-bedroom fucking flat thing. So we're like, all right, so we found a place that was close to her sister so that her sister could bring us shit, because we couldn't leave or do anything crazy like that. We were like all fucked up. So we got this place. We get there, good reviews or whatever. This place was a place, we go there. This was a place that was bumping in 1992. This place was fucking popping. You could tell that at the time when they built it, it was probably the Rolls Royce of fucking hotels in the area. To give you an idea of what we're talking about, all of the conference rooms are named after hardwoods. So you've got the mahogany room, for example, things like that. The oak room. So that gives you the idea of the age of this place. They haven't changed a single fucking thing. Not a piece of carpet, not a piece of wall molding, not a fucking faucet, not a bed. I think they added like a new bed, like headboard, like one of the at some point in like the early 2000s. It's probably the closest thing that they did the entire time. They had mirrors in this room. Strip mirror, about 18 inches tall. I got a video I might send to you sometime. You see it. It wrapped the whole room. So everywhere you were in the room, you were seeing 15 different versions of yourself from 5 different angles.
Good for fucking, man.
Yeah.
Take them to the oak room and just lay the fucking wood. Like, yo, girl, we going into the fucking redwood room. You're about to get it. You're about to see it from every angle.
So that was a little fucking weird. But beyond that, the room was right next to the main road, and the walls were about as thin as this fucking piece of tissue paper. Not only that, the air conditioner that was in the wall, they just cut a hole in the wall and put that bitch in. They didn't foam or caulk around it, so you're just seeing straight out into the fucking street around the sides, which means all the hot air is getting into the room, which means it's maxed, and it's barely changing the temperature of the fucking room. But we can't go anywhere. We're fucked. We're literally fucked. We can't move. We're fucked. Her sister's bringing us shit to the fucking like hotel. And bless her, barely made it there. Because we had to fly to get there, right? We had to fly to get to Manila, and it was like an hour taxi ride. And she's on her like she's got like a 38-ish and change degree fever, and which is like if you're using Fahrenheit, she was at like 101.5, 101.7. So she's just, and it's 40 degrees outside and humid, so you get a fever. It's just fucking ass. So we get there, she gets into bed. At this time, I'm okay. Like, I don't have a fever. I don't have symptoms. I had a sore throat a couple of days previous, but it was like mild, and it didn't come with any other symptoms. And I had tested just the day before that because we had a meeting with the family. I didn't want to get anyone sick. I just wanted to make sure. And I hadn't tested positive. So I was like, I think I might have had it. Gave it to M, but I'm one of those people that just got like crazy fucking lucky, and it's just going to pass through me. It's not going to be anything. I was wrong. So the following day was not bad, but the day, so like the following after that one, which was the day we were set to leave to get on a plane to start coming back to North America. Am's fever is broken at this point. Thank fucking God. Like, she's through the worst of it. I took care of her for like her fever and shit. She was in bed. She didn't move. I popped fever the morning we're supposed to leave. And I was like, you fucking asshole. Really? Now? Seriously? And I start to get the symptoms. My sore throat's coming back. The sinuses are starting to go. I'm blowing shit out of my head. And the fever hits. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. This is like 4:30 in the morning. I wake up like this. Mostly because of the fever, but also because the road is there. And it's the loudest room I've ever been in my entire fucking life. It's never been louder. I say to Em, I was like, all right, I got this fever now. She said, great. Oh, that's not so fucking good, is it? I said, no, it's not actually very good at all.
This is really bad. This is
really bad.
We're supposed to go home today.
We go home today.
I ain't trying to change these flights. This is gonna be bad. This is gonna go. I'm trying to get the fuck out of the Philippines. I want to go back to my country now.
Bro, neither of us wanted to stay in this fucking hotel here. Em looked at me. Bro,
yeah,
okay,
like, we gotta go.
So in this bathroom, bro, the tap perpetually leaked from everywhere. So where the tap meets, like where the handle meets the tap body, leaks. Where the tap body meets the sink, leaks out from there. And there's one specific position that when you close the tap and you turn the fucking handle, it will slowly stop. But if you don't get it just right, after about 5 minutes, the water pressure is enough to reset, and then it leaks again, and it makes this crazy like fucking noise, and all of a sudden water starts fucking shooting out of the shit. The toilet leaked around the base of the toilet, so the toilet was like on a fucking island by itself, and you had to like, go in there. We had our sandals on, and we had to like fucking like squat our ass from like a million miles away, so we weren't walking in fucking like leaked water and shit. The coverings of the windows were basically like, were basically just sheer. So the light immediately at like 5:30 in the morning is streaming into the room. So I took the quilt off of my bed and I fucking tacked it to the wall around the window, which it was a red color. So now we were in like some weird fucking like red light room, the red
light
district.
And you ain't getting no sex. You both are sick as fuck. Yeah. It's just salty. Yeah,
Just fucking
good.
salty. So anyway, I get my fever, I got the symptoms, and I said, okay, so here's the plan. I look at the clock, 4:30 in the morning, Em's awake now, I'm looking at her, I'm just so fucking angry at the time, I'm just so angry, seething. And I said,
I'd be
okay.
worried too. I'd be like, this ain't good.
I took my temperature, I had a fever, it was low grade. I said, okay, look, if this is where it is, I'm not taking any meds to knock the fever down. I've got, like, the time, it was like, whatever the fuck it was 4:30, 12, 16 hours. 16 hours before we gotta leave this hotel. I'm gonna let this fever fucking pop off and just give it as much time as possible to fuck this shit up in my body before I start to pop meds to bring the fever down to travel. Especially at the time, it was like 100 and, my fever was like 100.5, 101, so it wasn't, which is like a 37.5 or some shit. Not very high. Enough to be there and annoying, but not so high that you're fucked out of your tree. So I'll just leave it. That worked for about 90 minutes. My fever went up so fucking fast in 90 minutes, I didn't know what fucking happened. It went from like nothing to everything, and my body, my body aches. Bro, I have never had malaise like that in my life. Every joint was on fire, and I've got that arthritis like joint in my low back that's fused. Bro, that felt like somebody was driving a spike through my fucking low back 24/7. It didn't, no matter what position I was in, I was fucked. I took my temperature, 39! I went from nothing to 100 and basically 3-degree fever in 90 minutes. I went, shit, okay, that's not good. I can't travel at 39. I literally can't stand at 39. If I walk across this room, I'm gonna pass out in the fucking leaking toilet water. I can't fucking do this shit. So I was like, all right, now I gotta take my meds. So we don't have no Tylenol extra strength. They just have paracetamol over there, which is basically like the no name or a different brand name version. I will let you know right now, paracetamol, ass! It doesn't do a shit! I was maxing 1,000 milligram per 4 hours. It took 12 hours of paracetamol and M bathing me in ice water, 12 straight hours. My fever didn't move an inch for 12 hours and finally came down after the third round with all of that fucking ice water and all of that medication and laying in bed. I was delirious. I said, at one point, I looked at her, I said, I gotta be honest, because the temperature wasn't going down.
I don't know if we're going home.
I said, we might actually have to entertain the idea that our asses aren't leaving this fucking hotel today. And she looked at me and immediately, without hesitation, flat face said, no, we're going home today. I said, word?
Even she's ready to get the fuck out of Dodge.
I said, word? She said, yeah, we're getting this fever down, we're leaving. I said, girl, I'm happy that you don't have your fever anymore, but okay, let's go. So anyway, the fever finally drops. And when I say drops, I mean it goes to like 38.
It's manageable.
So we went from 39 to 38, which is I still feel like death, but I can stand and walk for 15 feet before passing out. So that's manageable.
You were on death's doorstep, and now you're on life support. So, at least you're breathing.
Bro, I had 4 hours. I had 4 hours of sleep in total, plus this COVID bullshit. I was like, all right, fuck it, we ball. And I get my shit together, and we get out of there. We get into the fucking taxi, and bro, I brought the cloths with me that just had water on them. I was so hot, it didn't matter. The cloth was always cold because I was just hot. So I had it in my backpack, but it was always cold because it was always so much colder than me. So I had it around my neck. I was like trying to like fucking like keep my temperature down with it like around my neck and shit. I walked into that airport, bro. I must have looked like fucking hell. I was sweating constantly everywhere. I had Kleenex. I was constantly doing this. I had a mask on, like a proper N99. Had a mask. I didn't want to get everyone sick, right? Because I'm at this fucking air. I was like, I'm gonna get like people 100% catching this shit from me. Like, I gotta keep this mask on. So I had this N99 on, and I'm just I'm mouth breathing because I can't breathe through my nose. So like inside the mask is just dripping with fucking mouth shit. And I was just like,
you know what I would have said? I'd have been like, listen, M, we're staying in the Philippines, but we're going to the Hilton. Okay, this is
bro.
This is the compromise.
Here's the deal. The rebook on the tickets alone, not including stay for longer, the rebook on the tickets, it would have been $4,000. So my ass was getting on that plane.
Honey, we're going on Korean Air real quick. I thought I'd let you know. Honey, I thought I'd let you know that if I die on this flight, just know I did it for you.
M said, I gotta keep it 100. We ain't paying mortgage if we gotta fucking rebook these tickets. I said, word? All right. I'm on.
Shit.
So we $4,000. So I walked into the fucking airport. The worst possible thing happened. Even though we're there late at night, it's red eye bullshit, and we're not taking your typical flight. Every Korean in fucking Philippines are going home that night. The line up to get your bags and shit, or we had already checked in, but to get your bags put in, we were there for an hour and a half. We got there 3 hours early with checking in ahead of time. We barely made our flight. We were there for an hour and a half in a lineup to get our bags checked in. I was dying the whole fucking time, popping paracetamol, trying to fucking like stay alive. I'm on my feet the whole fucking time. We get into the security. I do have pictures of this. There's at least 1,000 people in the security line.
Yep.
3 wickets.
Damn.
3.
For a minute. Get fucked. Get fucked.
Bro, I've never seen a line get snaked through a room so fucking densely in all my life. We were like this, dick to ass, for like fucking 2 hours almost in this fucking lineup. And of course, you're that close. I'm sweating. I'm trying not to sneeze. I sneezed in my mask a couple times. I'm trying to like covertly, which is impossible because I'm 6'6" in a room full of fucking 4 foot tall people. I'm like trying to like blow my nose and like just survive the fucking We get onto the plane. We get going. As soon as we get on the Korean Air shit, it was whatever. I was like, all right, I'm here now. The first flight was 4.5 hours. The second flight's 13 hours long.
Oh, no. Just kill me now. Just fever, take over. Just take over. I'm going down, man. I'm going down.
13 hours. No. I said, Jesus.
No. I'd be like, listen, M, mortgage ain't getting paid. I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to die out here. Bro, I have a hard time going 5. Once I hit hour 5 on a plane, I legitimately start getting angry.
Yeah.
And I'm like mad. And like, I have to constantly get up. Like, I'm that dude on the plane. I need to stand.
Yeah.
I can't, like, once I get to 5 hours, I need to move. Like, I need to get up. I need to walk to, like, I'll go to the bathroom 6 times and not even piss. I'll just stand in there and look at myself in the mirror saying, you got this. Just one more hour.
I did that at one point on this flight.
Of course you did, bro.
So
get
like
COVID, bro. You're dying up in fucking. You're in Korean Air. You're going back to North America. You're doing a full day of travel. Bro, I'd be dead. I'd be like, no, this stall is out of order. I'm dying in here.
The good news and bad news. The good news and bad news. We were the seats right in front of the bathroom, so I had to walk nowhere to get there. The bad news is everyone else going to the washroom brushes my arm or some shit like every fucking time. So I didn't get to sleep. 13 hours, no sleep, no nothing.
Just hell.
And that would have been nice. That would have been nice.
You're just telling yourself you can do it. You can make this.
I had a bunch of downloaded YouTube videos, and I was trying so hard to just lose myself and whatever the fuck go on my phone. And, okay, so the way that this 13-hour flight, because we had 13 hours both ways, going there and back, same flight. The first 4 hours, okay, not great, but you're managing it. It's the middle 4 hours. The last 4 hours also, not great, but okay. It's the middle 4 or 5 hours.
Reality sinks in.
Where you're just like, I'm on this fucking plane for another 8-9 hours. And it just hits you. And time in that middle 5 hours couldn't go slower if you tried. The shit creeps. And when you have a fever of like fucking 103 degrees and you're just dying on this fucking plane and you're cramped and you have no room for your legs and every stewardess, bless them, and every fucking bathroom goer is just slamming into my fucking left shoulder every 14 seconds. I was so fucked, dude. I went to, I say I was going to my happy place. I didn't even do that. I literally just tried, I've never tried so hard to autopilot in my entire life and turn my brain off. which
I'd have been on
worked.
drugs. I'd have taken drugs.
I
I'm
was
like, I need something that's gonna knock me the fuck out. If I don't wake up, I don't wake up. But I need to go. Like
I was on a lot of drugs. I was on so many drugs. M had, because we were in the Philippines. We had obviously like we have doctor friends in the Philippines, so we got prescription shit for like the day we got there. We had COVID. She got like antivirals and all sorts of other shit. I didn't get to any of that because I didn't have any symptoms, so they didn't send any shit for me. She got all the good shit. I just got the fucking paracetamol and shit. But I was taking so many meds that we had prescription meds to take when you take so many meds so that your stomach doesn't fucking dissolve. So like that's how many medications I was on. I was taking meds to fight the other meds so that my stomach didn't fucking implode on itself. All the medications. But on the hour like 6, my fever came back and the meds weren't doing anything anymore. And it did that for about 6 or so hours afterwards before the meds started working again. And so I had my full-blown fever for 6 straight hours right in the middle of that flight, and I was in hell. Fuck me. And I'm trying to wear the mask as long as I can because I'm trying not to get people sick around me. Here's the other thing, though. We obviously got there during a wave of whatever new shit's going around because when we went there, on all of our flights, even when we were in the Philippines, only a handful of people had a cough or whatever the fuck, it was whatever. When we were on the way home, literally in the Philippine flights, everyone, 50% minimum on those flights are dying. Everyone has got some sort of they're not dying. There was one guy that was definitely like me and fucked. The rest of them were like, their fever's not there, but they're coughing, they're sneezing, they're like everyone's fucking sick. There were, so on this 30-hour trip home, is how long it took us to get home. 30 hours. There was times I had to take my mask off. I couldn't help it. I had 2 masks to cycle for that 30 hours. And there were times where it was so hot and my fever was so high, I was going to pass out. I had to take my mask off. When we got to Toronto in Pearson, which by the way is the worst fucking airport ever fucking crafted. I fucking hate Pearson International Airport. When we got to the baggage to like drop our fucking baggage off, I was so weak at that point. I lifted the bags up, put on the baggage and like send it off. I almost passed out and vomited simultaneously. I sat down on the ground, middle of fucking baggage check-in, with people all around me, and stand next to me. I sat down cross-legged, and I said, I'm just gonna take this quick time out.
Bro, if that was I wouldn't even have left Toronto. I'd have been like, listen, we're back in Canada. We're going over to the Air Canada lounge. I'm gonna upgrade us first class tickets. We'll go the fuck home tomorrow, but I'm getting to bed.
Bro, I'm done. I sat there for 10 minutes. And I M handed me a water bottle. And I sat there for 10 minutes to collect myself enough to walk to our gate. I did it, got to the gate. I hadn't eaten anything I didn't eat too much on the Korean Air flight because I was fucked. Like I had no appetite. I was fucked. But I hadn't eaten much in all this time. I haven't slept in like 30 fucking hours. And so we get to the Starbucks and I got a dry bagel. No nothing, just dry bagel because I was so fucking nauseous. And I get myself through half of the bagel and I drank like a liter of water. And dude, at the point I was in Toronto, I must have looked, Em told me I looked fucking atrocious. I looked fucking bad. She said, I've never seen you look so fucked up in my entire life. I said, that's because I've never been more fucked up in my entire life. We got to the gate sitting there in Toronto. I put my neck pillow on. I put my eye mask on and I straight passed out sitting up. I had my legs like fucking, like your knees knocked together. My knees knocked together. I was slunched in my seat forward. Snot fucking like I'd blown so much shit into my head that my skin was peeling off my lip. I was just there dying in the fucking airport and Em looked over at me and when we got home she couldn't stop laughing. She said, "You looked fucking terrible." I said, "Well, could you not fucking blame me? Shit was real. I was dying out there."
I'm like, it's your fault. You took me to the Philippines. Fuck. That's why I don't go anywhere.
Fuck! And then of course that flight took forever because they couldn't fucking board it. But anyway, we got back. And dude, I've never been so happy to crawl into my bed. I got home. I showered because I had to. Had to shower. I crawled into that bed. My feet weren't hanging off the end. My pillow was soft. And I slept for like 18 straight fucking hours and woke up. And I'd like to say I felt like a new man. I still felt like ass. But I slept for 18 straight hours. Battled that shit out. Now here I am now. I'm still, you might hear it. I'm still congested. I'm still blowing some shit out of my head. I'm coughing way less now, thank fucking God. Like last Thursday, there was no fucking chance. I was coughing my shit senseless. I'm tasting and smelling a little bit more now. Em and I both lost taste and smell.
Yeah, I did too when I had it.
When we got home, we were sitting in bed. Em was so desperate. She, I want some McDonald's. We hadn't eaten anything in ages. So Mom went and got us McDonald's, bless her fucking heart. This is the morning after we woke up after 18 straight hours of sleep. We got the McDonald's, sitting in bed. Both of us got a double cheeseburger in our hands. We both bit into it, looked at each other. Not a thing.
Couldn't taste shit.
Couldn't taste shit. We had orange Fanta. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not a thing. I buried my nose in that shit, and I took the biggest huff. I didn't catch a single whiff. I said, word, I'm fucked up. I ain't taste or smelling shit. She said, neither am I. So we're both, I'd say I'm at like the 60 to 70% range. 60%, probably 60 to 70% of my taste and smell are back. She's roughly the same. But now I can, at least when I eat food, I can still kind of enjoy it now, whereas before it was literally like it did not matter what I ate. Dude, I got just to get past it, I got Mom and Dad Miss Vicky's salt and vinegar chips, because it's the most potent fucking thing I could think of to put in my mouth. I barely caught anything of it, bro, which was weird, because my mouth was still getting fucked up from the vinegar, so I'm still getting like, you know, like tongue's fucked, the mouth's fucked, because I ate so many. We had the Costco size bag, but I couldn't taste anything. It's fucking weird. Nevertheless, it was a good trip. It was right up until the end. I'm happy we got COVID at the end and not in the middle. That would have fucking sucked. And yeah, I got to spend lots of good time with the family and got to see some of her friends from school back in the day and whatnot. They're all fucking crazy. They got kids and shit. Bring them to the beach. They're still getting wasted. Showing up on the beach. They got those like Texas Mickey size fucking liquor bottles and shit. They're getting just 3 sheets. And they bring all the food and they just get hammered for like 12 straight hours. Crazy, but it was good. So it was a good time. And would I go again? Yes. Anytime soon? No. Would I be able to live there? Not in a million fucking years. I will say this though. Em tried to tell me about how good their mangoes and how good their avocados were compared to ours. She wasn't lying.
Oh, it's good?
Bro, those mangoes are on a different fucking plane of existence from whatever the fuck we've got here. Because for us, in order to ship them here, they gotta pick them early. So they're fibery, they're not nearly as sweet, they're just kind of whatever. Dude, the mangoes there, not only are they like 4 fucking cents to buy a mango the size of my head, that shit is like there's no fiber. It melts in your mouth. It's sweet and amazing and incredible, and I could eat like my entire body weight in their fucking mangoes daily, easily. Their avocados, same thing. No fiber, no fibers, nothing. Like butter, like in your mouth, but you could literally use it as a butter replacement if you wanted to. And their avocados are the size of this fucking Kleenex box. Her mom brought out a whole fucking thing of avocados to put it on the table during lunch one day. I said, what the fuck is that? Watermelon? She said, no, avocado. I said, what? It's fucking huge. They're like 4 times the size of our freaking avocados, and they taste way better. But the funny thing is, they use avocados as a fruit, because it is a fruit. So theirs is for dessert. So they use it with sugar, milk and sugar, just by itself, dipped in sugar and shit. And so when I told them, I was like, I'm not gonna have this with my salad and my fish and shit for lunch, they looked at me like I was crazy. Said, what the fuck are you doing? This is dessert. What are you mixing dessert with your lunch for? So I can't help it. I'm a degenerate North American. Avocado toast and raised on it. Can't help it. Either way, that's it. It's a long fucking story, but that's the condensed version. But it was wonderful. I'm alive. But I listen, I baked myself when I was there. I thought when I get home, being in this office is going to be a breeze. I was in 40-degree weather. I was like, bring it the fuck on. Bro, this office is still too goddamn hot. I'm sweating just standing here right now. It's 19 degrees outside, and for whatever reason, this office is still 49 degrees. I don't understand what a man has to do to not sweat in his office around here.
AC.
Mine iced up again upstairs yesterday. I had to fucking run the fan mode to get the ice out of it again. But I digress. Video games, Mr. Black. We should talk at least a little bit about them.
Do we have to?
We do. But that's not, I got you. I got you. There's some stuff, though, that you might find interesting. For example, the first one, it's the end of an era, Mr. Black. The voice of Mario for some 30 years, essentially our entire lives, from gaming perspective anyway. Charles Martinet is retiring and moving into a role as Mario ambassador. He is the voice of Mario that you recognized for 30 years. Retiring, finally. No longer going to be the voice of Mario, which is kind of fucking crazy if you think about it, but they announced this, Nintendo's own accounts announced this, and said, yeah, no longer going to be recording with Charles for the voice. He's retiring his voice. And, but he will be a ambassador, which is basically he gets paid by Nintendo to go around the world, still technically being a Mario, and just, going to Nintendo events and doing all that kind of stuff. But from a working perspective for the voice, he is retiring. So, shout outs to him being the voice of our entire Mario generation. But he's going to go away. Interesting to see who will replace him.
Chris Pratt?
Perfect. There you go. Chris Pratt. Can you imagine how livid everyone would be?
Yeah.
Watch the Mario movie, by the way, just a side note. It was okay. It's pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was fun.
Loosely related to this, as far as the voice acting is considered, after the tragic passing of Lance Reddick, Bungie has announced the new voice actor for the character Zavala in Destiny will be Keith David, which is, in my mind, about the only person that I can think of that would make any sense. Their voices are close enough that if you close your eyes, you might not be able to tell the difference. And so Keith David is taking over that role, so that will be in good hands. This just popped 30 minutes before we started the podcast, but we are losing another great developer, Deep Silver Volition, which is kind of like a double name. For a long time, it was just Deep Silver, then it was Volition, and some people call them Deep Silver Volition. Anyway, they announced that effective immediately, they are closing their doors after 30 years. This comes not long after the Embracer Group, which is one of those mega conglomerate, global, we own half the brands you buy shit from in every store that you go to kind of companies. Embracer had bought them up. It was part of their gaming division, and they are restructuring. And that's a really fancy word for firing lots of people. And so Volition, after 30 years of being a developer, is shutting its doors. And if you're wondering what Volition might have been responsible for, well, they're responsible for stuff like Free Space, Red Faction, and of course, most recently, the Saints Row series. That was their shtick. So they're closing their doors. Hopefully they can find a new place to take their talents elsewhere. Beyond that, it's a spicy week, Mr. Black. A little recap here. This is, in the history of video games, it's nice to go look back and say, certain years were big years for game releases. Like some of the, for example, 1997, 1998, two standout years where some of the most the industry-shaping games got released in those years. 2002, 2004, also very big years. 2004 was arguably, other than 1998, maybe, the king of them all. But this year, some of it because of COVID, pushing stuff out, so we had even more in a singular year, and other projects, not necessarily from that, but just so happens to be, this year is a crazy year for video game releases. We've already had a number of insanely huge, generationally effective games come out this year, and we're still not even in the thick of it. We've got the bulk of it is coming up here in September, October, and November. I just have some of the highlights here just to give you an idea of how crazy this is, despite the fact that we've already had some major releases earlier in the year. We've got Starfield, which is an early access, right, or not early access, but early release, so there are people streaming it right now. Starfield's popped, and the Metacritic for that is sitting at around, where I have it further down the list here, sitting at around 89 out of 100, so 8.9, somewhere in that neck of the woods, 8.7, 8.9, with some odd standouts. And so when I don't read any of these, like I'm not watching any footage or anything because I'll be reviewing it myself, but I'm waiting for it to actually release because I'm not going to spend the money on it to play it early. I'm going to play it on Game Pass when it comes out for free $99 or my Game Pass, subscription cost. And so, but there were some standouts. So IGN, of which there's a million ones, but the main North American IGN, GameSpot, and PC Gamer gave it 7, 7, and 7.5 respectively. Everyone else has given this somewhere about 8.5 and higher on average. Many in the 9 neck of the woods. Now it's very early on, and early reviews tend to always be this way. But this is an occasion where people had their copies way ahead of time. Some of the people doing the reviews have done like 2 or 3 different playthroughs before reviewing it, so this isn't necessarily one of those times where reviewers got their hands on the game 14 hours before the fucking game comes out, and so they're playing the first 3 hours and then giving it a review. So these reviews are probably relatively accurate across the board. Not bad, probably not as good as some people were maybe thinking. Maybe some people were hoping it was going to be like a Baldur's Gate 3, where it was going to hit like a 96, 97, something like that. But I put my prediction out. I thought it was going to average out in the first couple of weeks at an 84. I just had a feeling. It's not that. It's sitting higher, but nevertheless. Starfield is on that list for this month. Baldur's Gate 3 for the PS5, Final Fantasy Ever Crisis, Lies of P, still the worst name ever, Mortal Kombat 1, Payday 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, and then NBA 2K24 and EA Sports FC 24. That's just September. That's just some highlights for just September. Then we have October, Forza Motorsport, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Lords of the Fallen, Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which, by the way, we got a 15-minute gameplay footage thing that got released today, so you can check that out on YouTube. Alone in the Dark, Alan Wake, and Alan Wake 2. That's all October. That's a heavy fucking month in October. And then November, Star Ocean, The Second Story R, Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, The Day Before, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Super Mario RPG Remake, and Persona 5 Tactica. So there's 3 months there, and that is a list. It might not be games that you personally, if you're listening to this at home, that some of these games might not be your neck of the woods, but these are all like Metacritic 8s, 8.5s, and higher that are likely going to be coming out. And we're in a year where we've had like 9.6, 9.7 games coming out bi-monthly. Shit's been crazy this year. It's a big, big year for all this shit. With that being said, some spicy news popped up here this week for both PlayStation and Xbox. PlayStation and Xbox are making interesting moves with their subscription services, and for different reasons. So that's, of course, Game Pass for the Xbox and PlayStation Plus for the PlayStation. PlayStation announced substantial price hikes to PlayStation Plus, which is the service that they've only launched just last year. All of their tiers, Mr. Black, are going up 33%. That's a lot of price hike. The basic tier, which, by the way, is the tier that includes cloud saves. So you ain't getting cloud saves without getting into this basic tier, is now $80 a year to get access to cloud saves, which should probably be free, if I'm going to be honest. Cloud saves in the year 2023, that's just free $99. But they got that shit locked behind an $80 fucking paywall. But every one of the tiers, so there's 3 tiers, all of them are going up 33%. The middle tier is technically going up 35%. Of course, everyone is complaining about the basic tier more than anything because it's got like the basic features, and so this price hike hits that tier the most. This comes into effect on November 6th, so if you're making any moves for that, like if you're one of those people that are stacking time in these services, this would be the time to do it before they run those prices up further. So the top tier of this is I think it ends up being $160 $60 a year or some shit, somewhere in that neck of the woods. On the Xbox's side, you'll remember that earlier this year, they also increased the cost of Game Pass per month, but their increases were 13%. So there's a 20% discrepancy increase between the two services. And I have to be honest, Game Pass crushes PlayStation Plus. It's not even fucking close. And so a lot of people are screaming and yelling at Sony for digging this deep on this shit. And it makes me wonder, though, if Xbox only went up 13%, when's the next price hike? And with that being said, they could do 2 more price hikes at 13% before they pass Sony's 1 price hike of the 33. But more recently, and just before Starfield's release, and I think you could probably piece together why this would happen, Xbox closed out their free trial for Game Pass ahead of the release of Starfield. Not a Sherlock fucking situation there as to why that might be the case, but nevertheless, they do have, I think, a $1 thing where you can get Game Pass for $1 and you get it for 14 days. So, I mean, shit, you can do a lot of damage in 14 days. That was like what was it back in the day at Blockbuster or Rogers Video for us back in the day? It's like $5 for a weekend.
Yeah.
So I mean, shit, $1 for 14 days. You're beating a lot of games. There's not a lot of games out there that you can't beat in 14 days. So get out there and fucking just spend $1 for you just do that. But yeah, both with that. But that's a major price hike for PlayStation, and I don't know if it's founded. They haven't announced any new features really. They haven't they're not value adding. They're just like, hey, by the way, 33% increase. Get fucked. And so yeah, a lot of people are talking about that. Here's one we can talk about with Mr. Black. Get him involved on this one because we talked about it before. But we got more details. More details on the PlayStation Portal, Mr. Black. Have launched. That's the Sony's. We kind of wanted to be the Nintendo Switch, but we couldn't commit to it. Kind of a situation. The handheld screen with the DualSense strapped to the side of it. So we've discovered that other than the fact that it's streaming the PS5 games over Wi-Fi. This is local Wi-Fi only with an 8-inch screen running at 1080p 60. That launches at $199. So we were right about the price when we were taking a stab at it. Anything north of that would have been fucking clinically insane. But you know what? It actually technically, I say it costs more than that, and I'll get to why here in a second. It can play supported games. That's a very important word that I read in that list. Supported. Which means not all games, theoretically then, would be supported. Some are clearly not going to be. Now, that might be something as simple as just no VR games, which would make sense. But it could also be that some other games just won't make the cut. We won't know until we come across those games. They have to, of course, be installed on your PS5, and they have to be games that use the DualSense controller. It does not have Bluetooth. You cannot use Bluetooth headsets with this thing. Not allowed, including PlayStation's own Bluetooth headset, the Pulse 3D. It uses a new proprietary audio standard for PlayStation devices called PlayStation Link, Mr. Black, which, of course, Sony is launching earbuds and a headset that supports this proprietary new audio standard that we don't know the price of. But they're coming up, I believe, later this year and early next, last I heard, unless that's changed. Which means, unless you plan on going no audio, or if this thing's got speakers on the back of it or some shit, if you want to have headset on, you're spending more than $199 for the body. Now you're spending it on the earbuds or the headset that will play nice with it. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if this is new proprietary shit,
minimal $100.
They just bought Audis, by the way, to do their audio with now. So they're gonna and Audis is not cheap. So they've got that plus this proprietary shit. Minimum $100 for sure. That's gonna minimum US, which puts this now at $299 plus tax.
No.
Which is an Xbox Series S.
No. That ain't it. That ain't it.
Joe, I have a question for you, Mr. Blank.
No.
Why does this product exist? Is there a market for this
No.
product?
There isn't one.
Okay.
It's Wi-Fi. There's no Bluetooth. It has supported games. It's new tech. And it's an 8-inch screen running 1080p at 60, which, okay, fine. You can get over
That's
that.
fine. It's an 8-inch
That's
screen.
fine.
10, that's whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at $200 US? No. No. This will never work. It won't work.
Do you think that there's that when this was first being pitched, internal Sony, that the original concept for this was supposed to be closer to an actual competitor to the Switch, but then maybe they went, the higher ups went, yeah, but maybe that's going to cannibalize our software for the actual main console, so let's not do that. And then it just got whittled down to whatever like husk of a fucking concept this is? Or do you think this is just bad product design from like the get-go?
I think it's bad product design from the get-go. Like, why would they come out with a Switch-like thing when they just released the PS5? Well, it's not just, but you know what I mean? Like, they're now making games that the PS5 can actually run. You know, we're like, that's where we're at. We're actually at this generation's games now, because we've been kind of playing. You can play these games on the PS4 and everything's just, it's fine.
Yeah.
But like, we're here now. So why is it that you're coming out with this? And what you wanna play these games on a inferior setup that costs the bulk of what the system itself could cost? I mean, we're looking at what, half the price of a PS5?
I'm still not sure about. I mean, it sounds like the PS5 has to be running, and so it sounds like you have to be on your home Wi-Fi network that your PlayStation 5 is. So you can't even like go to a cafe and have
you can't
Wi-Fi.
Be on the bus, on the airplane, playing your games,
Or just anywhere that has Wi-Fi.
Or
So it
anywhere,
sounds,
yeah.
you got to be home. So this is like an at-home, not on your TV, but the PlayStation is still being used. So it's not like somebody else could be like watching Netflix on the PS5 or some shit while you're streaming a game by the sounds of it. So it's like you're at home. You could be
at a TV.
at a TV, but I guess somebody else is. So you're playing. I guess on paper that sounds like there's a market for like people that have like kids or something that are monopolizing the one TV in the household, and so you're just with the handheld. But how many people are gaming if they have kids while the kids are awake?
Yeah.
Like that's not very many people unless they're playing with the kids. That's different. Otherwise, you're waiting for your kids to be asleep and then you get your game time in. Typically.
Yep.
So like what is
pointless.
it?
It's
I
pointless.
can't. I hope.
Pointless.
I hope that we, at some point, NPD or somebody has the sales numbers. I want to know how many of these things sell.
Not many. This will fail.
Like this gotta sell less than, this has to sell less than 20,000 units, right? Are there 20,000
They might-
people that will buy this?
They might. There might be 20,000 suckers out there, but like, it most certainly is not getting past 50,000.
Because you could just buy like a Steam Deck at that point.
Yes. They're for sale everywhere now. Like you can pick them. People are selling them left, right, and center, so you can pick them up on the cheap.
Just really weird. But nevertheless, there you go. There
Good
it
luck.
is. Good luck out there. That was the review embargo. I talked about that. It lifted today. Yeah, I can't wait to play Starfield myself to see what it's really like. I'm going to try and go as you know, off the grid with it as I can until I get a chance to get my hands on it.
I'm gonna tell you, 7, 7, and 7.5. Not good.
No. I mean, the fact that the rest of so on Open Critic, they have two different scores. They have like the top critic score, which is like the most vetted critics, and then they have their second one, which is like casts a wider net, not user scores, because that's separate, obviously. So they have two different ones. the top critic score is still, I think it's like last time I checked, it was around an 87. I expected, like I said, I expected like 84 when this all washes out. It just looked like that to me.
Yeah.
Which is not to say bad. It's not bad. That's not 84 is fine. No. But I mean, but for Bethesda, 84 is low, right? Like south of a 90 for Bethesda is
good.
low.
It's not good. It's not a good sign. And I actually feel like the score might come down as the masses, get their hands on it. Typically, the scores don't go up.
No,
right? It's usually the scores are a bit embellished. They've got an agenda. Maybe Bethesda giving them some preferential treatment, some money, some fucking I don't know.
I don't think it will come down as much as some because, like I said, they actually gave them these review copies way ahead in advance. So it's not one of those instances where they gave you got like a 200-hour long game that they gave them the review copies 24 hours before the fucking game launches, which is a tactic that a lot of fucking companies have done in the past to try and make sure that the first 3 hours, 4 or 5 hours of the game are fucking stellar, and they get the higher, and then all the bullshits afterwards with the reviewers. Yeah. So, I don't think it's one of those situations. So I think the scores are relatively accurate compared to usual in the early stages. But like I have in my notes, the Bethesda effect is a thing. You have to take that. You have to keep in mind that this is a company that's not dissimilar, as we talked here before, not dissimilar to a Nintendo situation where, for a lot of people, if they're Bethesda fans, it takes an awful lot for that needle to move to make them say some crazy bad shit about it, even if it deserves it. And so, only recently have I seen people start to finally bad talk Fallout 4. When that game first came out, I gave it a 2 out of 5 or some shit. So this ain't it. This is the last.
I'm giving them the Guac 3000. This is amazing. Nah, bro, this is fucking
Turbo Guac. They were in on it, right? And now people are finally like, oh, and you know what's funny? What I saw. So I don't know if it was IGN or PC. It was one of the three. I think it was IGN where they said this doesn't have. It's a good game, but it's not like the certified banger that Skyrim and Fallout 4 were. And people in the comments were like, "What are you putting Fallout 4 next to Sky? Are you high? But Fallout 4? Are you serious? That's a terrible game." So I was like, "Oh, finally, people." It only took fucking a decade, but people are finally coming to their senses about Fallout 4. But we'll see. It's a week from now. I'll have my hands on it. I'll give it a show or give it a go. Are you going to try it at some point? Are you going to give it a rip?
I'll probably just watch a little bit of what you're doing. The thing is, I just can't commit to fucking 40 plus hour.
It's a big game
on my stream. I'm in the business of streaming to make as much money as I can.
Yeah.
Not to have as much fun as I can. Unfortunately, that's just my reality. And if I play the game, it'll probably be something I do by myself. I might, I might play it on stream a little bit and be like, all right, guys, that's it. And I'll just keep playing it. If people miss stuff, they miss stuff. But I'm not rushing out to get it. Cause I know if I stream that, viewership goes down. People aren't that interested. Some people don't want to watch it because they want to play it themselves. It's just it's such diminishing returns that
that's
if I was
the big
a variety
one.
Streamer. Fuck yeah, bro. I'd be first in line. I'd already be playing it right now. I'd be in that early shit, paying the extra money, getting on the hype. But that's not what I'm known for, man.
That's actually one of the things that I've been running into a wall with doing reviews and stuff like this, is that in the past it's a bigger problem now than it was in the past for me. In the past, I could play a game on launch and I'd still get my usual numbers and nobody would give a fuck. But more recently, everyone suddenly cares about not watching the game these games for spoilers. Yep. And so my viewership is fucking it evaporates comparatively speaking because everyone's trying to avoid shit. So it's this catch-22 of, you got to get on a hype train, but people don't want to watch it because spoilers.
Correct.
So it's like this weird fucking quagmire. But unless you're somebody like Co, and then you're so big it doesn't fucking matter. You just play it and everyone watches you, or enough people watch it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I mean, guys like him, he's also built a brand around doing that shit. So people that don't even regularly watch that dude, if a new big game is coming out and there's tens of thousands of people there, they're just going to go in and tune in to be part of the fucking crowd, be part of, it's like the opposite effect. He'll probably get more viewers playing this than he did
launch.
Than he did for his regular stuff 90% of the year. It's because he's conditioned his audience. This is what he's known for, right? There are streamers that are known for that. But if you're known to be playing Grand Theft Auto 5 or Valorant or League of Legends or StarCraft or whatever other game, I guarantee you there ain't a single fucking streamer that is known for that is going to go and play this game and they're going to gain viewership or even maintain what they normally get. It's gonna some will drop drastically, like 70, 80%. And then there'll be others that'll be like 30, 40, 50%, right? And that's like good. You don't lose half your viewership. Hell
You're
yeah,
doing
man,
well.
I can actually, dude, if I can play that game and I'm averaging like 300-400 viewers, like half of what I normally get,
Easy.
I mean, I'd fucking play it. I'd be like, yeah, well, I'll lose out on some money, but like at least I'm making something, and it gives me a break. But for me, I know it's going to be 80% dip, and then as I'm playing it, I can't even enjoy it as much because like I'm just fucking thinking about like I really should just be playing something else. It just gets in the way of everything. That's why I just rather at this point just play on my own, or just not play it at all, and then just fucking live vicariously through you or
catch
somebody
some
else.
other people playing it.
Yeah, why not? You know what I mean? Why not?
I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3. That's been an interesting experience for sure. That's another one where people are trying to not to get spoiled, but it came out when I was on the trip, so it's been less of a problem.
Yeah.
That's been a pretty good game too. That's like 96 on Metacritic. That shit's fucking through the roof, bro.
Yeah.
That is a. If it wasn't for the fact that Tears of the Kingdom came out this year, that's probably a lock for Game of the Year, and it might. If there is a
Still
God,
might get it.
It might still happen.
Yeah.
Because Tears of the Kingdom is not that fucking game.
It didn't look like that game. But anyway.
Yikes. Nevertheless, there you go. That's our video game news done and dusted, Mr. Black, which means, do we have a sellout to do? Are we back on a sellout hype right now, or are we still waiting?
We're here. First of all, we got patreon.com/legtv. I haven't looked at Patreon now for maybe 10, 12 days. Let's see here. Patreon.com/legtv. We are approximately, I'll tell you here how far we are away from Nova War Says. I got a little taste of it in the Leg TV Says. Obviously, it's not the same, but we are $278 away from bringing back Nova War Says. So if you guys are interested in that, or you just want to support us, you can give 0 fucks about Nova War Says. I understand. I get it. It's patreon.com/legtv. And we have a sponsor, NordVPN. Our contract with them ends tomorrow. So
damn.
Obviously I'm going to talk with them and see if we can continue our partnership. So if you are watching this live right now or in the VOD, head on over to nordvpn.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT and get yourself a massive discount plus a bonus month when you use that promo code OTT. Guys, stay safe, stay anonymous when you're on the internet. Actually, right now you can get 4 extra bonus months when you use it. So now we're back into the 4. We're getting back into the holiday season. So head on over there, use the promo code. Stay safe, stay anonymous when you're on the internet. Watch different regions of Netflix and other streaming services at the click of a button. It is less than a cup of coffee a month. You can do so much with it. I have actually, for the last week and a half, been using my NordVPN while I'm streaming. So I'm streaming on NordVPN. My bit rate that I stream at is, I think, 8,000. So, I have 0 drop issues, 0 frame rate issues. It's actually helped my ping in Grand Theft Auto. So you guys, you can stream on these, you can game and stream at the same time. What I'm saying is they're reliable. I would not be streaming on them even if they clonked out for like half a second. It just shuts down everything. It fucks everything up. It didn't do it once, not one time. So the servers are great. Super easy to use. You can use it on your PC, your Mac, your iPhone, your Android. They've got it virtually an app for everything. They've been in the game for over 11 years. They've been a big supporter of us for a few years now. We want to continue to keep working with them. So if you're ever in the market for a VPN, whether you want to use it to remain anonymous when you're on the internet, or you want it for protection, or both. Head on over there, nordvpn.com/OTT. And of course, the link will be in the description of every one of our videos. Now's the time. Now's the time to get in on it, guys. And that's it. That's my sellout.
Boom, which means it's time to move on to
Movies and TV.
Zack Snyder. All he had to do was one time, Mr. Black, hear some neckbeard in the background scream, "Release the Snyder Cut!" And now he's doing it every fucking chance that he can. Doesn't matter what movie he does, he is releasing the Snyder Cut at some point after the main release. And so Zack Snyder's upcoming Netflix movie, Rebel Moon, which looks like Dune, like fucked another sci-fi, like Star Wars kind of a situation. We'll be getting a 5-hour-long director's cut.
No,
Listen,
I'm good.
people were bitching about the extended, Lord of the Rings shit. I can watch those and it just time flies by because they're good. They're good. What are the odds that Zack Snyder's Netflix Rebel Moon is worth a 5-hour viewing?
It's unlikely. It's very unlikely. I will say, I fucks with Zack Snyder. I do like his style. I really like Man of Steel. It's one of my favorite comic book movies. It's underrated as fuck. He definitely has got... He knows how to make a film. He's got a good cast for this film. Obviously, Netflix probably fucking pulled out the Brinks truck and paid this dude, probably gave him a budget for like $500 million, told him to go to town. It looks to be like a mix of Star Wars, like you said, mixed with Dune, which, I can get behind. I like me a good sci-fi. I like all these things. But we're getting a little carried away.
5 hours?
5.5 hour cut? Zach, brother, no. All right.
Can you even call it a cut, or is that just the raw footage that they never actually sent to the editing team?
It's possible. it's very possible. I'm definitely gonna watch this movie. It comes out in December. It's gonna be a big movie.
I'm gonna watch it for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. Am I gonna sit down and watch the 5.5 hour cut? It's highly unlikely. I mean, I'd have to fucking, dude. I wouldn't even
morbid curiosity.
I wouldn't even watch a 5.5 hour Avatar cut. I really would.
I definitely would not watch a 5.5 hour.
I really wouldn't. And I'm the guy that's like, yeah, give me more Avatar. I ain't trying. Honestly, I can't think of a single movie where I want a 5.5 hour cut of it ever.
What are the odds that you have enough footage that's worth using to justify 5 hours?
I don't know. I mean, even if you told me Lord of the Rings, like the original trilogy, there's a 5-hour version.
I'd still be like, pause.
Yeah, no. There's too. It's just, even if it's a good thing, there is too much of a good thing. It's just too much. Now, if they told me that it was going to be a movie, but now they turn it into a series and they're doing 5 episodes that are an hour each, okay, I'm on that. I'm on that tip. But to be sitting there, and I'm the type of guy that when I'm watching a movie, I want to sit down and watch the movie. I don't want to watch half of it today and then we'll watch the other half tomorrow. It's something. It doesn't. My vibe might be different. My mood might be different. My snacks are different. My everything is different. It's like, it's too. I can do it, but I don't like doing it. I want to sit down. If a movie's 3 hours, it's 3 hours. I'm going to sit down for 3 hours and watch this fucking movie. If it's more than 3 hours, chances are I'm not going to watch the movie because it's just too much. It's too much going on. That was the only movie that I've ever done that with that I can remember. It's been a while. Was that one on Netflix? It was the mafia thing.
Oh,
you know what I'm
my
talking
God,
about, right?
I know which one you're talking about. Yes, I watched it too.
Yeah,
I
watched that. I watched that in two different sittings. It was too long. Somebody in the chat will say what it is. It was too long, and
Yeah.
I will say that it kind of hurts the viewing experience doing it in two different things. So yeah, I know I've given you the long answer. I could give zero. Don't even tease me with a 5.5 hour cut if the movie ain't even out yet and it's not even good.
The
yeah,
Irishman, that's it.
the Irish. Do we really need to even know that there's a director's cut before the movie's even out? Like,
No,
the director's
but-
cut should be saved for movies that are like proven, have an
that
audience.
everybody loves. It's
Yes.
like, we want more. It's like, okay, we're making another one, but you're gonna have to wait 2 years. But we have this 5.5 hour cut of the film. We dumped another $40 million into doing animations on the stuff that was out, and we did all the CGI and the treatment with the music and all that stuff. We went and we gave you a new version. Okay, we talk about that a year after the original one came out. Okay, I'm cool. But we're in this era now where we're talking about the cuts, and it's almost like a selling feature where it's like, hey, it's so good, we're already talking about a 5.5 hour version. It's like, no. This is straight to Netflix, so there's already going to be a level of I don't want to say legitimacy to how big this movie is, but like, if it's just coming out on Netflix, how good is this going to be? I'm not saying that Netflix movies can't be good, but like, is this
The
really going to be
odds are
Dune
lower.
level? Is this really going to be a Dune level?
Well, no, because
experience?
Dune is some shit. It's definitely not going to be Dune.
Exactly, right? And Dune isn't Netflix, so
no,
you know, we'll see. We'll see.
5 hours, crazy. IMAX. Remember back in the day, before I went and traveled the world and got COVID, there was the Oppenheimer Mad Lad. We talked about him, where he got the front and center, first row, center seat, 70 mil Oppenheimer ticket. Well, that Mad Lad was found. I mean, that took over the internet. Everyone was talking about that guy because, I mean, really, how couldn't you? There were other seats literally available, and he said, no, I want that one right there. And IMAX took notice. And so they found the guy, went to the showing that he bought the ticket for, surprised him there. They have this print that's like different movie cameras that they did a very limited run of, that there were none left out in the wild, but they had one on hand, and matted it, framed it, and whatever, and gave it to him as he's a big movie buff, so he was all fucking like, excited about it and shit. And so yeah, he got his little reward for being completely fucking insane. So there you go. I still want to get an interview.
Did you see the movie?
No, I didn't. Yeah, when we were there, we went to Barbie because we were with like her mother and shit. Like, we weren't going to go to Oppenheimer. So we went to Barbie.
I'm like, nah, I'm good.
So
I'm good.
I'll go to Oppenheimer if I get the opportunity, now that we're back home, if it's still there. But when we were there, we were with like her sister and her mother and shit.
Yeah.
And like, if her father was there, we were probably going to Oppenheimer. But he wasn't there, so we went to Barbie. And Barbie was good. I mean, Barbie was a very interesting movie. Clearly, everyone that did that movie had a fucking blast. It was one of those movies, you watched it and you could tell that everyone just loved making the movie. So that came across on, when you're watching it. It did an equal heavy ham-fisted blow of social commentary that in spots was it got a little bit silly, but in general they did it relatively deftly, to the point where like it didn't take you out of the film. It was just like, it's just part of the fucking movie. But it was very heavy-handed in spots for sure. But there were fourth wall breaking. And so like, it was kind of like, sometimes it was hard to see, like hard to tell, are they doing social commentary or are they doing a parody of social commentary? And there's a bit of both. I mean, like I think the best part of that movie for me was Ryan Gosling, who fucking loved every second of his life playing Ken and ate that shit up like a goddamn champion, and convinced the director when Mark, what's his name, the producer, Mark Brunson or whatever his name is, he wrote that I'm Just Ken song in like an hour and sent it off as a joke. Didn't think that it would actually make the cut. And the director gave it to Ryan, and Ryan was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever fucking. This has to be in the movie, and not only that, but we have to do a musical fucking number in the movie for this." And he campaigned for it, and she was like, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Absolutely." And they did it, and now it's like charting music and shit on fucking Spotify, and it was a fucking blast to watch it when they did the thing in the movie. It was really funny. It was great. Mark was saying how like Ryan's interpretation of the song was like way fucking different than when he wrote it, but he said he loved it. He said it was better than whatever the fuck he had planned. So it was really fun. It was a fun movie. It was well shot. They clearly spent every last drop of pink paint that's ever been fucking used on this planet in one film, no doubt. And there was even like random cameo, like fucking John Cena was a mermaid. Just showed up, and apparently, again, it was one of those films where everyone just had a fun time. So, like, Margot Robbie was in town when they were shooting it, and she ran into Cena when she was out for food, and was like, "We're shooting Barbie. You want to come fucking, like, be a mermaid?" And John was like, "Fuck yeah, okay, sure." And then just showed up on set and was a fucking mermaid in Barbie. So that's the kind of movie that you're seeing. You're seeing a movie that, like, it was just everyone had a fucking good time. So would everyone love it? Some people would go to it and complain about how fucking like social commentary it would be, and I would totally understand. But if you just turn your brain off to that and just like enjoy the fact that everyone that was on set clearly had a great time, then it was a fun movie.
I'll probably check it out when it's on digital. I know Kayla wants to see it, so
yeah.
You know, I went to Oppenheimer instead. There was literally no other option. And the crazy thing is,
how was it though? How was Oppenheimer?
Well, first when I went to the theater, you could tell Barbie was playing because it was like there were so many people like wearing pink, and it was like you go to the theater and the vast majority of people coming in and out of the theater would tell they went and saw Barbie. It was a ton of girls. It reminded me of. It reminded me of Black Panther when a whole bunch of black people went to went to go see Black Panther, and they dressed up in every type of African, clothing that they could. They're representing, like Wakanda Forever, like just wearing it. That's what it reminded me of. It just reminded me of like. It felt like it was a movie for women, and women went there and they just went out in droves and they just were just fucking unapologetically pink.
They don't do men dirty in the movie though, I'll say. Like they talk, so like the two things is like talking about the women's struggle is like the primary feature, but they also do a really good job of being like, they don't shit on men for 2 hours is what I would say, which was nice. Because after a while in the movie, you're like, am I just going to sit here and just get my shit kicked for like 2 straight hours? I'm just an average dude sitting in this fucking theater getting my ass kicked. And thankfully, they don't. They do, they do men a reasonable service too. So, but I could totally, see everyone going. They marketed the fuck out of that film. That was crazy. Yeah, but yeah, how was Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer. So the way I've described it, it's a masterpiece of filmmaking.
Okay.
Like it is so impressive, especially when you know that they didn't use any CGI.
Yeah,
and there are constantly scenes of sort of visions and stuff that he has. Like,
did they shoot this on? They shot this on film, right? Which is why they had the 70 mil available,
correct.
Right?
Yeah. And I saw it in IMAX, and obviously, theater was fucking packed, and I got like my good seat that I like. The audio for 98% of it was fantastic. Like it was usually in a Nolan film, like the audio is really fucking
especially for like
dialogue and stuff. It's really brutal. So that really wasn't an issue. There was only one scene in particular where I just, they were almost mumbling. I couldn't really understand what they were saying. So from that standpoint, it was Christopher Nolan's best. I think it's Nolan's best picture that like from a cinematic standpoint, from just like an overall filmmaking standpoint, it's his best work.
I feel like there's a really big butt coming after all of this lead up.
There's a big butt. There's a big
okay,
butt.
all right, okay.
But it is one of my least favorite Christopher Nolan movies ever. And it's like I enjoyed Tenet more, and I fell asleep during Tenet.
You enjoyed Tenet more?
Yeah,
well, that's not good news for me.
I still haven't even sat down and watched Tenet. Like I watched the movie, but like I dozed off, and I'm like,
Tenet was
I'm back
dog water, bro.
You know, like, and I should be careful with how I say this, because there's probably people that are listening going, "Are you fucking high, Jeff?" And the answer is not yet, but I probably will be in like 3 hours. But you know, what I'm trying to say is, from an entertainment standpoint, it's a boring fucking movie. And I mean, it is quite, if you are not into, it's a historic piece. And
if you're not Roger Ebert,
yeah, like I'm like for a movie buff, like I'm a movie buff. I love movies, and I appreciated the film. Like when I left, I didn't leave going, fuck that movie, that was awful. Like it wasn't that at all. The acting in it is so good. Oh my God, everybody is so fucking good. Like, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. in this is so fucking good. Like, they're like, what's her face? Fucking Florence Pugh? Man. Woo! She's so good. I mean,
Cillian Murphy is a fucking god, too.
I can't even forget about Cillian Murphy. I mean, it just goes to show, the first people I thought about were supporting actors and actresses.
Yeah.
But Cillian Murphy, I mean, he absolutely destroyed this. Like, he took the movie, he put it on his shoulders, and he fucking ran. And everybody around him just lifted him up, and they just let him do his thing. Nobody went there to try and steal the show. It was like, it was his movie, and it was fantastic. But unlike, in a roundabout way, the real star of the film is Christopher Nolan, because you know it has Nolan all over it. Like, Nolan is like super indulgent. He's like, he knows, it's like a dude, it's like a guy that like fucking hit the gym for forever and a day, and he knows he's fucking yoked, and he looks fantastic, and he's got fucking money in the bank, and everybody wants a piece. He had that confidence. Like, the movie, you could just tell like he was in his bag, and he was, and it was great. But from an entertainment standpoint, the movie is boring as fuck. It's like, you know, the bomb, like, it can't even spoil this movie because we all know what happens, right? But like, the part that I was a little bummed out on is you don't actually get to see the bomb go off. Like, you don't, you know, the climax of the movie is the testing. Like, when they first do a test, there's this big scene, and it's fucking amazing. The sound design, the cinematography, the explosion, everything is cinematic masterpiece. But that's an hour and a half into the movie. The movie's 3 hours long. The fucking thing peaked halfway through the film, and then the last 45 minutes of this movie, it is nothing but a dialogue court scene. They do a very cool thing with, like, half of the movie's in black and white, and then half of it's in color, and it signifies like the past and the present. And I like what they did with that. It is super easy to understand. But it just felt like the movie peaked at the wrong time, and then because of that, I looked at my watch at least half a dozen times, thinking, when is this fucking movie gonna end? Like, I want out. Like, I want to leave. I'm so over this. Like,
the movie could have been 2.5 hours and it would have made the experience infinitely better. It was if you're into like a political, just like what somebody said, if you're into like a political thing and it's very interesting. The dialogue is really good. It's performed flawlessly, but man, it's a snooze fest, bro. It's a fucking snooze fest. And I'm a Nolan fanboy. Everybody knows this. Like I'm not, but for me, bro, that movie's a 7 out of 10, and that's being generous.
So 7 out of 10 from like an enjoyment perspective, but like a 10 from like a cinemaphile. Like you just want to sit down. Like it sounds like a movie that cinemaphiles like jerk off to, where they're like, "This is the greatest piece of cinema I've ever seen."
It's like if Dune had no action, or it's literally like if Dune had no action, or it's like Game of Thrones. It's like watching Game of Thrones, but all you get is dialogue. And we love Game of Thrones dialogue, but we need to have
something to break it up.
Yeah, we got to break that shit up. There needs to be some stuff that people can talk about. This is a movie about Oppenheimer. This isn't a movie just about the fucking the atom bomb, right? This is like this is just like fucking this is
it's about the man behind the bomb.
It's about the man, right?
Yeah.
It's about his transgressions. It's about who he is as a person, how he operates, and you see the entire movie from his point of view. So it's not like this sort of movie where you're following a character, but you can see other people's perspectives, and you are quite literally in the mind of this dude, literally, and that's cool. But my God, man, it's like, oh man, the more I talk about it, the more I'll never watch it again. This is a movie you watch once, and that is the fucking absolute show. And it's not a particularly emotional film. Like, I thought, the bombing was going to be, we'd see the aftermath and sort of the chaos, but all it is really it's just disgust. And it's not like,
it probably would have been hard to sell this movie if they were like, yeah, we're going to include the part where we bombed Japan. Yeah, is that going to fly on the global?
Yeah, no,
probably not.
I get it. I get it, right? Like, we watched a bunch of World War II movies. We watched fucking Pearl Harbor. We've watched slavery films. But when I watch say a slavery film, right? There's an emotional a thing that happens because we're watching, and I'm not saying that people couldn't get emotional watching this film. Just knowing what happened, and then that could make people emotional, especially if you come from Japan or you know the real severity of what happened.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely can be emotional. But I didn't have any real emotional ties to the film. I wasn't like super excited. I wasn't really sad. Like, films like that, I want to be heartbroken. I want to feel the emotion. There was nothing to be felt. It was just like I was just watching like a weird documentary but autobiography Nolan masterpiece that didn't really it didn't hit me, and I wanted it to hit me. But I'm one voice. You might go in there and go, Jeff, you're on fucking crack, bro. This was the shit. And if somebody told me that, I'd be like, I totally get it. It's just
I can see where you're coming from. I don't expect to go to the film and be like and think that it's fucking incredible from like an entertainment perspective. When I saw previews and stuff, and I knew what they like, you could see where they were going with it. I knew that this was a film that Christopher Nolan wanted to make, and because he's Christopher Nolan, he's allowed to make it, and that's what it is. And so I didn't think that it was going to be entertaining. I didn't think that it was going to entertaining in a traditional sense. It's everyone knows how, or at least anyone that's been taught a monicum of history understands how the story plays out. But obviously, probably to a lesser degree about the man specifically. They probably know the name Oppenheimer, and they'll know the classic quote where he pulls it. Pulls the line from the I can't remember how to pronounce the fucking name of the book, but fuck me, I can't remember. I can never pronounce it right. Anyway, I am become death, destroyer of worlds, where he's the quote, and
that's all in the film.
Yeah. And so like everyone, like you know what you're getting. So it's like you're going into this. Like for me, I knew I was going into it getting more of a like biopic.
I did too, but it was still.
Anything else.
But Adam, bro, if I'm I knew what I was getting myself into, but I didn't actually know what I was getting myself into. Like what I'm trying to say. Like it's it was that, but it was like, whoa.
Even leaning even harder into it. Then okay.
Fucking
that's fair.
What's his face did great too. Matt Damon. He was fantastic.
Well, it's Matt Damon. Can Matt Damon miss, bro?
The cast was so good, man. It was so good. I have to recommend the film just because
the cast,
the acting, the filming, the sound design, the music, everything is there, but there was no like. It was like, okay, you know how before we were like, oh, I just like meat and potato, or I like the steak, but there's no meat and potatoes. This was like all steak, but no sides. It was like once you get through that steak, then you realize, okay,
the first bite of the steak, you're like, God damn, and then by like ounce 24, you're going, ugh.
You got the steak sweats. You got the meat sweats, and that's what this was. And it was like, I still appreciated it. I left it. I was not angry. I went. I immediately text Miyagi. I was like, yo, man, like, because he really enjoyed the film, but he also understood, like, got my point of view. And it is an extreme. So still, I think you should see it. And
for sure. I want to see it. Yeah.
I think from the movies that you like from me, I actually think you might enjoy this more than I did. So it might speak to you more, dude. There were people in the theater when I left, and they were talking about how amazing it was. Like he was blown away. But I think like if you're into history and you're in it, what I found intriguing is I didn't know. Like I know about Oppenheimer and I know about the bombing and but I know general stuff that I learned in school. And like, little things as an adult. I never really dug deep into it. So it was kind of fascinating to be educated about what really transpired and who was behind it and in the political stuff and the how what it meant to America.
How far ahead of the Germans? We need to figure this out.
Correct. And it was like really cool to see. It was just interesting. It felt like I was in school. But like in a cinematic environment,
and it might be an important film in that regard because if they can get it as accurate as possible, I don't know how accurate it'd be. Then like that can be a tool because we are getting to a point where we're enough generations apart that people are starting to forget. What World War II entailed, what actually came along with all this shit. It's your degrees of separation away, so you can hear about things like the Holocaust, you can hear about things like the bomb droppings, and it can emotionally affect you. But the further away you get, the harder it is for people to have empathy, and the easier it is for everyone to just fall back into like repeating mistakes over and over again. Because like, for example, for Oppenheimer as a scientist, no scientist wakes up or gets into the field and thinks to themselves, one day I'm going to be tasked with creating something that's going to be able to kill millions of people at the touch of a button. Like nobody is going to.
No.
And imagine the gravity, because you're not the one that pushed the button. But you can't imagine the gravity
of that. And that's what's cool about the film is you get to see his perspective. And then also other people's perspective. And some people want to bomb. Like some people want to use this as a weapon.
To stop the war.
Correct. And then there are other people that are totally against this. And it's like, dude, once you open up Pandora's box, that's it. The world will never be the same again. And you get to see him fight with these dilemmas in his mind. That is quite interesting. But I just never... I don't know, man. It's hard.
Some of it's hard. It's hard to be entertained by that sometimes. Like it can be interesting, but it can be hard to be like truly entertained by it. Like I can totally appreciate that. I'll be very interested to see. I again for the actors and the acting and all that stuff. That's why I want to see it. All the people that are involved in this movie are all people that I think are amazing actors, and I would love to see them do something like this.
I guarantee you don't even know it. That's in the movie.
They crush it.
the fucking studded star cast that this movie, every fucking person on the screen is like, holy fuck, you're in this too? You're in this? and none of them, they're all movie stars. None of them look, sound, and act like them. They're characters, and it's like you don't even think about it. It's just they do.
That's
such
because
a good
Christopher Nolan called them up and said, "I'm doing some crazy shit," and they all said, "I'm in."
Oh yeah, rightfully so.
And the reason why you don't know they're in the movie is because nobody is out there being braggarts about what's like they want to do the movie because Christopher Nolan contacted them and said, "Do you want to be in the movie?" They weren't doing it because they were getting an enormous paycheck. I mean, clearly they get paid for it, but like these people did this because this was like, I get the opportunity
to work with Nolan,
a generational Nolan film. I'm in.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And that's exactly what this is. It is a home run. But in all accounts,
it's still making a lot of money too. I mean, considering the content of the film and considering and like the length of it and stuff, like you wouldn't think that it would be able to hit. I think it hit 800 million or something like that, somewhere in that neck of the woods. Right now, 700 or 800 million.
Yeah, box office.
Barbie made $6 trillion.
Yeah, 800 million. We're just below 800 million for a rated R 3-hour film.
This is like a documentary.
It's literally like a documentary. Go see it. You should really see it in IMAX.
Oh, I would definitely. I mean, that's the way. That's the place to see it. Yeah.
Oh man, oh my god, bro! If you thought Interstellar was sexy, I mean, that Interstellar scene's still the best scene. You can't. It doesn't get any better than that.
That shit actually changed the chemistry in my brain watching that shit.
But dude,
I'm sure this is fucking bonkers. Yeah,
bro. The way they filmed this.
Did you see it? Man. Did you see it? Which IMAX? Did you see the one in Bears Lake?
Yeah.
Did they fuck the audio up to like so you're deaf? Because sometimes that IMAX they turn the volume up so fucking loud in there.
It was loud. It was loud. I will admit it was a fucking loud movie. It was funny. Last thing, to my right, okay, there was a guy and his son. Okay, so his son was maybe 13 years old, 13 or 14, like just early teen. And
so probably just learned about this shit in school like last Tuesday.
Yeah. The kid obviously did not enjoy the loud sounds. And so every fucking 5-10 minutes he was covering his ears.
Young. His ears haven't been damaged yet or like
shit was loud, bro. And then to my left, there was this old couple, looked to be in their 80s, like no joke. Okay. Fucking bro.
Lived through it.
No, bro. The wife out cold, snoring. And the old guy slowly passing out, right? But he'd wake up every single time there was a loud, which is often. And what he would do is every time he woke up, she was snoring and he would fucking like elbow her and she'd wake up and then she'd be watching the movie again. And then within a minute, she was out again. And this started like 10 minutes into the movie. They didn't even make it far.
What time of day were you watching this?
Oh, I went to like a 4:00 show, like in the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like their dinner. That's like their dinner hour, bro.
Fucking out cold, bro. And I couldn't even barely hear her snore because the movie's so fucking loud. Like, I mean, it was loud. And he'd just be like Oppenheimer. You'd be in the middle of a scene. He'd be in his school teaching people shit. And all of a sudden he has these like visions and these shit, like it's almost like shit goes off in his brain. And every time that shit would happen, the music would just swell up and there'll be these loud like explosions going on. And it happens so much. And oh my God, dude, the kid be like this, the dude be like that. And it was like that like every 10 minutes, man. I was like, bro.
You know what I will say when we went to the theater in the Philippines? Their stadium seating is so much nicer than our regular screens. Really? Our regular screens have like terrible stadium seating comparatively speaking. Like they have proper stadium. Their chairs are crazy comfortable. Like their chairs were like the chairs that you pay extra money for like the D-box shit. Here. And then they don't cram your shit right up next to the screen. So you've got these steep stadium seating, and then there's like almost like 80 feet between the first row and the screen.
Damn.
So you're getting like, and the screen's big. So it's not IMAX
No matter
big, but
where
it's
you're
big.
sitting, you're good.
You're getting a good hit no matter where you. So they could fill a theater up, and it wouldn't matter. Like you're gonna get a good experience. And so I gotta give Philippines props for their fight. And that was in a mall. There's a mall theater, had 2 rooms. One was showing Oppenheimer, one was showing fucking Barbie. So I gotta give him props for that. But yeah, nevertheless. Last piece of news, Mr. Black. Very important if you lived in this time, of course. Ryan Reynolds, who has, of course, his hands in a million different things. This man is invested in a bajillion different projects, one of which is his Maximum Effort channel, which is part of, I believe, his Maximum Effort Productions, which, of course, is his movie/TV production studio. So the Maximum Effort channel has added the 80s sitcom Elf to its list of throwbacks. Do you remember Elf?
Yes.
The alien these brown fucking Muppet alien, and he like ate cats and shit or whatever the fuck else it was, and it was an adult sitcom with the puppet. Mm-hmm. So they're resurrecting Elf. They did a bunch of commercials for all like Mint Mobile and all of his other shit that he fucking owns as well. On top of that, using Elf, they got somebody sounding, I don't know who the fuck he is, but the dude exactly like I remember Elf sounding. Same kind of fucking dry adult humor. But he's bringing back Elf, which is something that literally on anyone's bingo card, nobody in a million years would be like, yeah, Elf is making a comeback. No, but he's doing Elf.
Oh. Okay.
So there's that. So he's that, but not only that, but he's also, and this one might hit a little different because of our generation, he's resurrecting biker mice from Mars.
An animated?
Animated.
Okay.
Biker mice from Mars, which was like, that was a dope cartoon. That was like a similar era to like the Street Sharks, biker mice from Mars, gargoyles, that whole era of cartoon. And he's resurrecting that shit and putting it on this channel as well. And this is like available for free, I think. I can't remember the name of the platform that's predominantly on that they're working with, but you can get this shit for free. So you got Elf, biker mice from fucking Mars, but then of course Ryan Reynolds is Canadian, so he's got the entire, I guess, Kids in the Hall is on this channel as well, which is like a crazy. If you're not Canadian, you probably never fucking heard of this show in your life, but it was a sketch comedy show. It's called Kids in the Hall. And it was like, it's like you could probably watch it and it's the type of humor that the majority of people probably would not even understand what the fuck is going on. But if you know comedy, you know what? It's the Oppenheimer of comedy. If you're a big movie cinemaphile, whatever the fuck, it's like that Oppenheimer, you're going to love it. Kids in the Hall is like, you got to have literally, the Rick and Morty joke of having a high IQ to understand it? Okay, that's a joke. Kids in the Hall, you might actually require a fucking 140 IQ to truly understand everything that's going on. Now, of course, they also have stuff that's like easy to understand, but nevertheless, funny to see somebody resurrected, but it makes sense. Ryan is Canadian for him to be bringing it back. So an interesting channel, Maximum Effort. I actually told myself, I was like, I got to go look this fucking channel up. If I can get this shit for free, inject me with some biker mice from Mars, please, and some Elf. Sure, I'll fuck with some Elf randomly, see if they can still make a show not look like fucking ass. And yeah, Kids in the Hall. I mean, fuck me. So anyway, that was just a really funny kind of random thing. And just Ryan Reynolds is like invested in a million things. But Jesus, got the football club, the Aviator Gin, the fucking Maximum Effort Productions, Maximum Effort like TV channel. The dude's got his hands in a fucking million cookie jars. That's all I got for news, Mr. Black. I don't know if there's anything else. Like I said, I already mentioned it. So we saw Barbie, saw a Mario movie. I don't think there was any other recent films. Em and I started watching the latest Ultimatum. We caught up with that. We have no more episodes of that.
Episodes. It's over. It's done.
Oh really, guys? When we got to, I thought we got to the end of it, and then they didn't have any more follow-up for the latest season of the Ultimate.
No, we finished it last night. We watched the reunion and everything.
Oh, I didn't see the reunion on there, so I'll have to go see if I can find the rest of it. That was an interesting season. That was a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it was a dumpster fire.
It was a dumpster fire.
You want to know what's an even bigger dumpster fire? We just finished the newest season of Temptation Island.
Oh,
that was a dumpster fire, and the reunion for that,
bro, the reunions for that must be fucking just insane.
Oh, it was the best reunion I've ever seen in my life. Fantastic. It's fantastic.
So maybe I'll have to go hunt down Temptation Island and get that look.
buddy. This season.
What season number is this technically? Is it the latest?
It's 5. Yeah. It's 5.
Okay.
I think it's
All
5,
right.
yeah.
Gran Turismo movie did come out. That's true. I haven't seen it yet. I have seen a lot of reviews mentioning what I mentioned when I first saw the trailer, which was like David Harbour, whatever his name is, his character, basically just saying over and over again the word gamer, 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 gamer. This is some soft soy boy gamer fuck. He'll never be able to drive a car. Gamer, lazy gamer, neckbeard gamer, fuck gamer. That's basically the whole trailer was him just like saying that shit over and over again. As it turns out, that's kind of the movie. So, take that with, for what you will. And that's all I've got, which means, Mr. Black, it's time to move into
Tech support.
Patreon.com/LagTV. It's a place to go if you want to financially support this podcast directly, and of course our StarCraft content, by which I have to find the energy within my body to do after this podcast is done and dusted. You can ask us questions on a post I put up each and every week called Tech Support. We give you as many answers as we can for the questions that we have. This week is a short list, so we'll see what we got. Let's see here. Bork Chop said, "Welcome back, Adam." Thank you, Bork. I don't even recognize this name, so this might be a new Patreon. Shout out to Jeff, he said, for keeping the channel going while you were gone. Yes, shout outs to Mr. Black, keeping the dream alive, especially during the COVID times. I was fucked out of my tree. My question, what dish for the Philippines brought the most havoc on your pale, unseasoned stomach? Unseasoned stomach. So I'm white, but I'm not that white. I'm not like the white where you go on TikTok and you're watching people like white people making chicken dinners where they don't even use salt. They just have like boil a fucking chicken. That's not me. I eat heavily seasoned shit constantly. I'm a big fan of spice in general. So honestly, it wasn't a big shock because I've had some Filipino food here in Halifax because there are Filipino families that have set up restaurants and stuff here in the city, so I've experienced some. I would say like the one that still doesn't hit super well. I mean, I can't eat shellfish, so I didn't really eat anything when I was there, but okra just, I can't, I ate it when I was there because I was being nice, right? I'm at the family's house, they got okra on the table. As part of some of the vegetables that were on the table, and so I was like, I'm eating this okra, and Em loves okra and stuff. If you've never had okra before, it's a vegetable. The inside of the okra, cooked or otherwise, but they have this like a cooked or steamed or roasted, doesn't really matter. It's like aloe vera plants. It's slime, basically, on the inside of it, slime and edible seeds. And so the taste is fine. The taste is fine with okra, but the texture is really fucking hard to wrap your head around when you're eating it because it just tastes like you've got somebody else's thick ass saliva in your mouth and it's just not pleasant, texturally speaking. So that's one. And then the other one that doesn't hit me right is bitter melon, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is insanely bitter. And even after you cook it out, like you have to cook it a lot to get the bitterness to come down. But people love bitter melon in the Philippines. I can't fucking stand it. It turns me inside out fucking. It doesn't literally, I don't shit myself or anything, but like it fucks me up. I can't eat bitter melon. Everything else is fine. I mean, like everything is fresh fish, basically. And they don't fillet it or anything. You're just buying whole fish, take it home, grill it, and eat it with your hands, which is delicious. So you can't, everything else is fine. For sure. The Filipino cuisine is not that heavily spiced, in all honesty. Most of their stuff is just grilled like crazy, and so it's not like if you went to like India somewhere or some shit. It's not like you're walking into a totally different, where it's the food is 50% powdered spice, 50% food. Question for both coming in for, it's our classic Mr. Black, pulsating, ripe, developing titties. Welcome back, Adam. Thank you. Said question for both. What are the next 3 countries you want to visit for a holiday and why? I don't know if I have 3 that I desperately want to go to. I want to go to Japan because we were going to use Japan as a layover originally during the trip, but it never happened. I want to go to Japan for like the cherry blossom season and see all the trees and shit like that. That looks pretty fucking dope. and to have some proper sushi. Book a place that takes 3 months to book, spend an inordinate amount of money on it, and have that experience. I think those are two things I would like to experience there. Other than that, I think there's some of like the Finland, Sweden, Norway would be like Norway, like for like seeing the Northern Lights as clearly as they do would be kind of nice to go out there and do that. And they've got beautiful country there too. And then past that, I've always kind of wanted to go and see like the Mayan pyramids and shit. Would be kind of fun. But I don't have like a long list of places that I'm like desperately looking to go. But I would say those are like 3 locations at least. I would say that that would be.
I mean, if I had to pick 3 countries, I would say Japan would be on the top list, kind of mimicking what Adam said. I'd love to get go to the best sushi places, get some really nice steak, as well, and just see the culture. I think that's like a place where I'd be culture shocked, but in a good way. I think I'd enjoy, what Japan has to offer. So I'll go with Japan as number 1. Number 2, I'd probably say Australia. Just going on the outback and being out in the wilderness and fucking seeing crazy, what I would say would be exotic animals to them. It's like an every fucking day occurrence, but I think that'd be fun as well. And the weather is warm, and I'm sure that there's lots you can do in Australia, just from like an outdoors adventure. Probably the best place in the world, maybe even. And then third, oh man. I mean,
didn't you say you would like to go back to like Italy, Spain region to like spend time there as an actual tourist instead of just being there for work?
Yeah, I'd probably put that third on the list. I'd like to go visit Rome and do the whole like Venice thing and see all of that stuff and get some fancy coffees and eat some baguettes and kind of fucking so yeah, I would do that, but I would probably put that towards the end, it's not, if I never experienced that in my life, I don't really,
wouldn't be the end of the world.
It's not a big deal, but I most certainly have to go to Japan at some point. I mean, that's the only, I think, destination that I would really love to go see.
Piggybacking the comment about countries, but in reverse, this comes in from Yolth. Which countries will you absolutely never visit?
I
mean, there are some countries that are on lists that our government would say just don't bother because it's war torn as shit, and you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, I'll probably never go to Mexico. I'll probably never go to
Mexico. You mean just in general or off resort Mexico? Because resort Mexico is like you don't even really see Mexico.
No, but probably just in general. I probably just won't go there. Because if I'm gonna pick a resort, I'm probably just gonna go to
somewhere
where I
else.
normally go.
Yeah.
And I'm not 25 years old. I want to go to fucking Cancun and fucking party.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's not
the appeal is just not there for me. I missed that window. I'm not saying I have anything against Mexico, but it's just I'm sure the food's fucking amazing and the drinks and stuff are great. But I would say Mexico. I'm trying to think of places that like I could go to. Yeah. That would be like an option, not just some random third world country stricken area that like nobody wants to go to from the first world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say Mexico, probably China. Not that I have anything against China. It's just I'd rather go to Japan than China. Maybe if I had like unlimited funds and I could just travel the world, then sure. I mean, but and I would say Africa, probably not going to go to Africa. Even if it was offered, I probably wouldn't go to Africa.
That's hard.
There's a lot of countries I could have said, but
yeah, well, there's lots of countries that are like war torn, or they're just like they're like you only go if you're like deep into backpacking and stuff
Yes.
like that, and so neither of us are backpackers, so it's kind of just like an automatic no. There are very few places I can think of in Eastern Europe that I would like to go to for any real length of time. Although even then, like, the problem is I can make a case for almost anywhere. Like, there's beautiful architecture in Poland and Russia and shit like that. But man, I mean, there's nowhere. Yeah, that's really friggin' tough. China, like, I would even go to China, but like, but like similar to Jeff, would like Japan would be first. Yeah, shit. I will say this, there's not a lot of places in South America that I would, really desperately feel like going to. Like, I've never really wanted to go to, like, Brazil or something like that, for example. Like, that's never been on my list of places that I would want to go, or, things like that, or, like, Venezuela. So, stuff like that. But, like, in general, yeah. The problem is, for me, is I can make in my head, I can think of a country, and then I can make, like, a case for why I would want to go there. Is that there's always something to be seen somewhere. And so, yeah, it's kind of difficult. We only got one more, and then the other one is the only one that's really StarCraft cast usable, so we'll ask this last one. Dr. Samurai asks, first says, welcome back, Adam. Thank you, sir. Are M's family Adam fans now? According to M, yes. So I passed the vibe check. Across the board. Flying colors.
Well, they're probably just happy it's not a 70-year-old fat white dude coming.
I passed the hardest of all vibe checks, which was the father. The father said he missed having me around to talk to, so that was a good sign. But everyone else was pretty easy. It was pretty easy going. Her sister is like 20, and I'm chronically online, so like I have no issues conversing with a fucking like young Zoomer. It's kind of whatever. It's very easy to do. And she's also going to be a doctor, so she's a very mature 20-year-old. But so everyone was very easy to go. I mean, like, there was no difficult hurdles. It was more like her father, because he's a military guy, and anyone that's ever had to try to, but like military guy that saw active service. So anyone that's ever had to like break the wall down of an active military service, serviceman, in terms of a father, you would know that it's difficult. Now do that in a language that they barely speak, and you can understand why it might be a challenge. But I succeeded, so we managed to pull that off, and it was wonderful. They're all amazing. Hardworking isn't even the fucking word. Everyone in the Philippines is a grinder, bro. Like beyond belief in that country.
People.
Yeah. Speaking of, we got a question here. With back half is for you, Mr. Black. Said Jeff, we are in the market for a house over the next year. Any hot takes with interest rates staying high?
Is that the only info?
That's all you got. They're in the market for buying a house over the next year. Any hot takes with interest rates being so high?
I mean, the interest rates are high, so you got to be careful. Like, you can't, you're going to have to buy either less house, or you're going to have to put less, or more down. Like, I don't know what your financial position is. If you've got a bunch of money and you can put 20, 30, 40% down, great. I'm assuming this is your principal residence, like where you're going to live. But if you don't, if you don't have a lot of money saved up and it's harder to get in, then putting minimal down might be an option, but you got to make sure that your payments, typically aren't more than, I would say, 30% of your gross pay. Because unless you might have car payments, credit card payments, student debt. If you're from the States, you might have medical debt. I don't know. That's a very broad question, because it's such a individual situation depending on your situation. So I will say that don't be afraid to buy a home in this market.
They're not going to get cheaper.
They're not gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna get any. It's not gonna get any cheaper unless you're trying to buy like commercial real estate, which might come down, 20, 30%. But you're gonna buy a home, and in most areas, real estate is still ticking upwards. And as the Fed starts to bring interest rates down, even if it is 0.25 here, 0.5 here, if it goes down 1% in all of 2024, which I believe the rates will come down next year, they have to, then the market's going to go on fire again. People are going to go out and start buying again. So if you can even just get in, make sure that you're going to stay in the house for a minimal of 3 years, preferably 5+, you'll be okay. As long as your monthly payments are not killing you and you're not house poor, you'll be fine. Just buy the right home that you like, compromise a little bit, and buy smart. Don't overpay. Which I know it might seem like everything you're overpaying for everything, but this is just our new norm. And I think there's a lot of people that are waiting for. I mean, dude, Adam, people, when interest rates were 2%, people were saying the same thing. Oh, the price of houses are too high. I can't afford anything. I can't do this. I can't do that. But interest rates were 2%. It was just a different excuse then. Now interest rates are 7% or higher, depending on what your rate is and stuff. And now the excuse is the interest rates. I mean, the market's going to do what the market does. And the market, in my opinion, it's not financial advice. You asked me a question, I'm going to answer it. Residential real estate is not going to crash. It's not like you're going to wake up in 6 months, 9 months, and there's going to be a 20, 30, 40, 50% discount on these homes. It's just it's a supply demand issue. There's not enough homes. It's too many people. It's not enough homes. It's literally impossible. If it was a seller's market, which it's not, a buyer's market, which it's not, it's a seller's market still, it'd be a different story. If there was 6, 7 months of inventory, I'd be telling you something completely different. I'd be like, some really good deals might be coming up. The market's about to get fucked. The economy's the shit. But there's nothing. There's nothing in like North America. I don't know where you're from, but in most states and in most provinces, there isn't enough. Now, there are pockets, of course, in any country where the opposite applies. Yes, real estate might be coming down, but if you're living in a city, the chances are this is the hand you're dealt with. So if you're dealing with a 7% interest rate and you're trying to buy a home and you can afford it, like you can afford the monthly payment, get into the house, make sure you're buying right, try and get a deal. Of course, don't fucking get stupid and get emotional and overbid and overpay. Because I think at most real estate might stay stagnant for a few years, right? It might not do this like 10, 20, 30% year over year. It might be 1%, 3%. There might be a year where it might go down 2%, but really that's really nothing. And typically when there's a fluctuation like that, it's usually on specific real estate. So say, for example, prices of homes come down 10%. Chances are those are like really high-end luxury homes where the pool of buyers is not really there. It's very specific. Your everyday single-family homes for families of 3, 4, 5, man, them things sell like fucking hotcakes. They aren't crashing. It's not gonna happen. You might get, an 8-bedroom house in a luxury neighborhood that's been sitting on the market for a while, where you might get under what they're asking because they just, the people just want to sell it. It's whatever. But buy smart, man. It doesn't matter if you're in a bull market, if you're in a fucking bear market in terms of real estate. If you buy smart, you can't lose. Unless something catastrophic happens, you can't. It's virtually impossible to lose as long as you're going to hold. If you're going to buy a house and you're going to try and sell it in 2 years, you might get in some trouble.
You don't buy a house, you plan to be there, you can afford to be there, and scrutinize it. If you're at 7% right now, look at it as if it's going to be 9%, assuming that you're in Canada and you go on if you're buying in Canada right now, you're buying variable. You do not get.
You don't want to lock right now.
You do not want to lock right now. You wanted to lock 2 years ago, year and a half ago. Now, no, I have a renewal coming up. My interest rate is going from 2.7% to 6.6. It's a huge difference. Massive difference. And, I'm fine because, like, I've held the property for a long time. Yeah, I can't pull as much money out as I want to go buy another piece of real estate, but that's okay. It still pays for itself. It's still fine. So just make sure if you're from Canada that you're scrutinizing it in case the fucking doomsday happens and rates continue to go up, which we're going to be in a whole different slew of fucking shit if that happens.
The housing market will be the least of your worries at that point.
Exactly. That'll quite literally be the least of your worries. But still, be prepared for doomsday worst case scenario. But if you're in the States and you're getting a 30-year fixed, I mean, dude, juice it up to the gills. If they let you go 40-year, amortize it on 40 years. Get as low as a payment as possible. And then when these rates come down, just refinance into the lower rate. If you can't afford it right now, then I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to just work hard, fucking, be fucking Gary V and get 17 different side hustles and fucking try and scrape together. The cold hard truth is it's extremely tough for everyday families to afford a home in 2023. It just is. It sucks. It's fucking shit. It's horrible. And these interest rates are not helping at all. It's awful. But your government, they are to blame. They are 100. They'll blame everybody else. They'll blame fucking landlords. They'll blame whatever. They need to blame themselves. They're the ones that help this economy go to shit, and they're the ones that put red tape and yellow tape on every type of fucking builder known to man so that shit cannot go up and affordable housing cannot be here. And, they're just greasing the pockets of certain individuals. And it's lobbyists. It's just the whole fucking shit. It's a shit pile. So if you can get in. Do it. Because it ain't going to get any better. If you want my opinion, I gave it to you.
Yeah, the way that Em and I have been looking at it is from the perspective of people that got in at the low and then got fucked real hard, stuck variable, is the way that you have to look at it at the end of the day. We're strapped to fuck, but the thing that you have to realize is that if you're going to have a mortgage that's 25 years or 30 years, this isn't the only time where this situation is going to happen.
Correct.
And it's going to happen multiple times. You're going to have lows. You're going to have highs.
Yep.
And sometimes it's going to be hard to figure out, just like if you're in the stock market, sometimes it's hard to figure out when do I lock for 5 years, because you're playing a gamble. Like if you went back in time to 2019 and you said, okay, you're buying a house, you're looking 5 years out, nobody was going to be able to be like, oh, okay, well, in 2020, the world is going to come to a fucking screeching halt and everyone's going to be fucked and we're going to print 40% of all dollars in North America in the span of fucking 18 months.
Oh,
and we're gonna fuck this economy so hard that it's gonna be nearly impossible to get out without insane inflation across the board, which is exactly what we're seeing. Literally everything is just inflated to fucking high hell. And so you're gonna win and you're gonna lose some. So the idea is, like Jeff is saying, is you just play it smart. You understand that at some point in the 25-year plus mortgage, you're gonna get fucked. It's gonna happen. At least once. At least maybe one 5-year period. Maybe twice.
Maybe twice. It's a cycle.
You might get fucked every single cycle. It is not infeasible that you could get fucked in the butthole on every single fucking cycle. So just go in with the understanding that, well, what happens if we had 25 years and we've got to pay it 5-6% interest? Can we do that? If yes, great, get in. Because ultimately, like Jeff was saying as well, especially right now, you could have nearly every licensed contractor cranking out family homes, and they wouldn't be single family. They'd be townhomes and shit. Yep. There's not enough land to put that many houses on. So you're not even looking at single family anymore. You're looking at duplexes and townhomes. They couldn't keep up. It's not feasible. So that by itself, the supply side, regardless of interest rate, will make sure that at worst, and this is my opinion, not financial advice, like this is mimicking Jeff pretty much, is that the supply side is what's holding back what would typically have dropped house prices substantially, which is interest.
Thank you.
If it wasn't for the supply issue, yes, 7% would fuck everything so hard.
Yes.
But because that's not the case,
yes,
here we are. And so what does that mean? It means even if you're in the market or you just got in like M and I and you're getting fucked with the cactus, it's okay because your equity isn't really evaporating at the speed that it would have. You're still losing equity. Don't get me wrong. I still wake up in the morning sometimes in a feverish sweat and go, fuck!
Oh, yeah.
But that fuck could have been a lot harder,
dude,
if it wasn't for the supply side.
Dude, if you didn't buy, you got fucked, right?
Fuck.
But if you didn't buy, you'd be you'd be in worse shape because what do you now? What you're gonna?
Which is why it's very important to be smart because the discourse, and it's not wrong discourse in my opinion, that if you can get in, getting in is good.
Yeah.
But you have to do it smart because this is a time where you can 100% fuck yourself.
Yes.
So you have to be careful. But if you can manage it, thumbs up.
Yes.
That's kind of where we're at right now. But like Jeff said, for the average family, I mean, we're at a spot where here in Halifax, a townhouse that's being built close by here that looks like dog shit.
It's like
one of the
$500,000
ugliest. 500's the start.
Yes. Yes.
There's no fancy fixins. You're just getting the bare minimum.
Yeah.
You're getting discount windows where they just kind of like they're mixed. Whatever windows the contractor get their fucking hands on, there's no like artistry to the fucking home. They're picking whatever siding they could get that was like the cheapest, and it just looks like budget housing.
It is budget housing,
and
it's
you're
$500,000
spending $500,000 on
and that
it,
same
and
house,
it's a townhouse.
3 years ago would have cost you $350,000. Like
if
yes, like
in Halifax, like $290,000.
Yeah, and now honestly,
$500,000.
It's gonna get worse. People I don't think people understand like the FOMO that people get too is when these rates start dropping, people are gonna start buying because they're gonna be like, okay, the market's turning, let's just get in, go on variable. The rates are gonna start coming down, and then the value of the home is gonna start going up because as rates come down, the value of the home comes up because people can afford to spend more, which inherently makes it's forced. Basically,
and
it's like
since
forced
the
appreciation.
supply is still going to be
no
shit.
Supply. If there was a fucking 1,000 houses available in Nova Scotia, prices would be tanking because people have to sell. They'd be like, I gotta go, dude. There's like 140 homes in the province for sale. The province. There's 1 million people that live here. Plus, dude, how?
You know what's crazy too? Just as a side rant, I got contacted by Royal LePage asking me because I went in for an interview years ago, and they keep contacting me like on a quarterly basis. Hey, you want to be a real estate agent? And we're Nova Scotia, which likes to do everything the hard way, is changing. I'm sure you've heard about this now. Where they're changing how we're doing a real estate license. It's going to be 2-3 times as long of a course and cost even more fucking money. And you're in a market. I said to her in the email, I said, am I interested? Yeah, I could think about it, but I need you to tell me how the fuck you guys plan on having any new real estate agent on anyone walking into the fucking place at a brokerage where there's 150 fucking homes in the entire province.
Yeah.
How is anyone going to do anything but give you $400 a month in rented office space to make any money? How do you get to sell when you're a brand new agent walking in and there's 100 units?
You don't. You need a network like a motherfucker. The good news is when you get clients, you're selling the house. You're getting a sale.
Yes.
Like you just need to find the clients. You find the clients. You put a fucking house on the market, it's gone. Like it will sell 100%.
But you have to get the fucking.
But you
house.
have to get the house, right? So you got to network and shit. Listen, there's money to be made, but like it's the orange is being squeezed more and more and more, and there ain't gonna be pretty soon you're just gonna have to add water to that orange juice to even to get any type of fill. But yes, so I could talk about real estate all day.
Yes,
but like fucking go
get
out
in if
there,
you can. Be
get
smart
in if you can, but be fucking smart. If
Yes.
you can't afford a house,
don't.
or if you're going, you know what, I can afford this right now, but like if the interest rates stay like this for like 3 years, I might be in trouble. Don't do it. Don't do it. You need to wait to buy the right house. Still try and buy under market value. Still try and do all the right things and get in. Because if the interest rates are high and you're spending an extra $1,000 a month, it sucks. It's horrible. But you are getting into a property. And if your house is worth $100,000, which let's be real, it's going to be worth a lot more than that. But say your house is worth $100,000 and it goes up by 3% a year, right? You're making $3,000 a year, right? But you're spending an extra 12, because of the interest. But you're getting back some of it every year. And eventually, you stay in the house long enough, the extra that you're paying will pay off just from an appreciation standpoint. And as people start buying more houses, of course, it's going to go up even more, right? You get 1 year, it goes up 10%. At 100K, that's 10 grand, right? Obviously, you're going to be buying stuff that's 500,000, right? So you have 50 grand. So it's all relative. But no matter what, as long as our government here in Canada, I can't speak on the US because I don't know, I'm sure their problem is worse than ours. As long as they keep letting in 1 million plus people come into our country a year and you're putting up 300,000 homes, bruh, the real estate market can't crash. What's going to happen though is the local people that live here, they're the ones that are getting priced out. They're the ones getting fucked. The foreigners that come in here, the people that come in, the immigrants that come here, they can afford these homes, or they pool up and you'll have fucking 5 people buy a home and they'll be happier than a pig in shit to be here, and they'll pay the stuff. And here's the cold hard truth that a lot of people don't want to hear. These immigrants work harder than you. They come here they know what hard work is. Us fucking Canadians, American lazy fucks that want to sit and complain about, I don't want to go to the office, I just work from home and fucking, I've a 4-hour work week and I'm just bro, these motherfuckers, they'll live on 4 hours sleep and they'll their fucking grind and they'll pay the shit and they won't complain about it. They'll outwork you and they will buy the shit and you will be fucked. And yes, I feel bad for the ones that can't afford their homes. I think everybody should be able to experience owning a home and having a piece that's yours. The cold hard truth is, you're getting fucked. And your government's making the decisions here. Start thinking about who you're voting for. You want to put in Trudeau again? Keep putting Trudeau in. See what happens, guys. See what the fuck happens. See what happens. I'm telling you, more of the same's gonna happen. And I'll be honest, you fucking put in the Conservatives, same shit's gonna happen. I mean, it doesn't really matter who's in government. The
scariest part about the Conservatives is Polyev was like, what if we just got rid of the Bank of Canada and instated Bitcoin? At which point I said, all right, hey, maybe no. Let's calm down there.
We all know that's not going to happen, bro. And he doesn't even have the power to do that, even if it was the case. But at the end of the day, guys, if you want change, you need to change not only yourself, but you need to fucking really see what's going on in your country. And if it don't align with you, you need to start aligning yourself with government that is more in line with your own personal goals.
Or you could be in Texas in that one. There's a one like we're like 5 million people in Texas that have like all that's like predominantly like black and Hispanic, and they're like completely changing the voting there so that they're fucking the entire population.
Well, everybody's leaving California and they're going to Texas because they're like, fuck these taxes and fuck this government. Let's go over to Texas and fuck this place. You know, that's pretty much what's happening, bro. But here in Canada, I can't speak too much on the U.S. side.
Yeah.
You know, I do invest. I have apartment building in the U.S., so like I do have stake in it. But like here in Canada, bro, dude, you can't build shit. You can't do nothing. Permits, fucking, they won't let you do nothing. It's nuts. And they're sitting there, they complain about there ain't nothing they're gonna, dude. And that's why more people are renting, is because they can't afford a home. And then the more people are renting, there's less to be rented. So landlords go, okay, well, I have to raise the rent. Not only that, interest rates are at 7%. How can you not expect landlords to raise rent? They'll go bankrupt.
Literally. Not, the vast majority of landlords are just mom and pops that got like one rental. They're not killing properties that got fucking 100,000 units in one province. That ain't it. Like, god damn. Dude, and I own real estate. I have a lot of it. I'm getting rich off this, and I'm still complaining. Bro, that's how much. Like, I'm making money. I own real estate. I'm good. The motherfuckers that don't have anything, they're getting fucked. And it even pisses me off because, it's not good for the economy. It's not good for people. It's not good. It's not good.
Just the hoops that we had to jump through just to legalize the unit we have here was just fucking insane.
It's nuts. It's nuts, bro. It's out of hand. It's stupid. It's nuts. And I feel for you. The one that asked the question, I feel for you. Do the best you can, but don't put your family in a position where you're going to go under from this. You just can't. You just can't do that. If that means you got to rent for another 6 months, a year, 2 years, you do what you got to do, man. You do what you got to do. The cold hard truth is you got to work your fucking ass off and some. You got to be a slave. You got to be a fucking literal grindy slave to make enough money to put a down payment so that your monthly payments aren't fucking your family. It's just it. And you can blame it on what? You blame it on COVID. You can blame it on fucking war in Ukraine. You can blame it on supply chain issues. And all of these things contribute. 100%. They do. They do. But the cold hard truth, also immigration, it's all of these things. But guys, you shut down countries. Nobody does business. You print endless money. Everybody's got more money they ever had in their lives because nobody's spending money. Nobody's going to fucking Boston Pizza to grab food. Nobody's going to travel to take family vacations. Dude, the GDP went fucking nuts. Inflation went nuts at 8%. That's crazy. It's actually crazy. You go buy a fucking loaf of bread, it costs you $7. You're like, what the fuck? No, bro. No. I could rant for days about this shit. I'm angry. And I'm good, and I'm angry.
The grocery shit's particularly bad because there's so many things that
gas and groceries, bro.
Where they had it up when they had all those issues, and then the supply issues went away, and everything went back.
And they
left the price high. Correct. Because they can.
Greedy fucking cocksuckers. That's exactly why.
Because they just go, oh, inflation's high.
Why doesn't the government step in and fucking do no? But they want to fucking put you on some carbon tax shit. Fucking sitting there worrying about our goddamn environment when you go and ask a single mother raising children if she wants to spend an extra $20 to $50 a month on carbon tax. She can't even afford to fucking feed her kids. You think this is the right time? You think this is the right time? Really, right now? Right now, this is when you want to do it.
Or is carbon tax really the solution to the problem?
No, it's
of course not. Of course not.
It's not the fucking solution. It's these greedy fucking cocks. Fuck you. Fuck Trudeau too. Fuck you, buddy. And your stupid fucking policies, man. It's nuts. It's nuts. Yeah, I care about the environment. Of course I do. Do I want to pay more when we're already getting fucking reamed? Why don't you take billions of dollars from other bullshit that you do and put it into the environment instead of coming and double, tripping, quadruple dipping on working class citizens? Dude, it's the middle class and the lower middle class and the poor that are getting fucked. It's not the rich. It's not the rich. They can afford these swings. You can't. You're getting priced out. And you keep this up, in 5 years, there won't be a middle class. It'll just be poor and rich. Where do you stand?
That's kind of
crazy.
We're almost there. We're pretty much there.
We're pretty much there, Adam. We're pretty much there.
Because like if you look at what the cars people drive, the homes they have, everything is fine. Okay, it looks like we have a middle class, but then if you look at like debt to earnings ratio, and you're looking at like nobody has money.
They're broke. They're broke,
they're like what 6 weeks out of pay before everything collapses.
Correct.
Around them.
Correct.
And that's even people that aren't. That's including the people that aren't overstepping their means. That's just them. Like, I have a family with 2 children, and we have 2 people working, and that's literally just the reality of the situation. Where it's like it's not like they're going to Disney World on a fucking yearly basis.
No,
and they're still 6 weeks out from being fucked.
And if they did, Adam, they should be able to. They work all fucking year to take your kids on a vacation somewhere, and you can't do that anymore because grocery stores want to charge you an extra fucking $3 for a loaf of bread and $6 for a fucking gallon of milk. Suck a dick. You want to go to the pumps and our gas prices are fucking 4x what they were a year and a half ago? Suck a dick. You don't want to allow builders to build your stuff so that you don't have such a shit housing market? Suck a dick. You
Like
want to
the
shut down every single family-ran business.
But
because of
leave
COVID.
but
You wanna
leave
shut
open
them down.
but leave open Walmart and guys.
But we'll leave open Walmart. Suck it. Suck
Walmart
it. And you were-
Walmart was essential, but not the mom and pop shops that
not
went
the mom and
bankrupt.
pop shops that fucking add to our economy, and if they don't have it, they go under. Their livelihoods, their families, everything gone. Because what? No, bro. I'm sorry. And you said all this shit 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. You're a villain. You're a villain. People will be like, fuck you. Fuck you. You're horrible. Cancel you. You're a piece of shit. There's people dying out there. No shit. Do you know how much suicide rates have gone up? Don't fucking play this shit. Man, I'm pissed, bro. I'm fucking mad.
That was brutal.
I'm mad as hell. I've
wor-
been holding this shit in for a fucking hot minute.
The
Fuck
worst
the government, bro.
the worst part is that
No.
I think the worst part of all of it is that there's why depression rates and everything are through the roof is because there's very little that the average person can actually do. Like the power, even as a group, so even as like a group of people, like in voting power, there doesn't seem to be an out anywhere because every direction you go results in basically the same thing. So it feels very difficult for people to like have the willpower to just to want to even try to do it, which of course is preferential for people that have power because it means that they don't have any opposition like whatsoever.
Yep.
They just get to do whatever they want.
Yep.
But yeah, the pandemic stuff, the shutdowns were like in the early days where nobody knew exactly what the fuck was going on. I'm not going to complain about it. But when we were like a year and a half deep or a year deep or after the first year and we knew what we were doing and we had protocols in place that we were like functioning. If you can have protocols work in a Walmart, you can have the same protocols work at a mom and pop shop.
Correct.
And just fucking let people mask, social distance, only X number of, it was like they were running like restaurants, X number of people allowed in at capacity. All those things are fine, but make sure that it applies to everyone.
Everywhere.
But it was so brutal because you have like Walmart, which was already crushing like literally fucking everyone that wasn't a Walmart. And they get to stay open. And everyone else gets to close down.
You know
You're
why?
like, oh, it's money, of course.
It's money.
Of course, tons of money.
The whole thing. There's some good in there. Like, yes, definitely save lives, 100%. But at the same time, how many lives were destroyed? I mean, look what we're dealing with now. And people got to be insane to think that those lockdowns did not contribute to the economy that we're in today.
Oh, of course
You're
did.
fucking insane.
Of course
so,
it did.
I get it. It's like it's something that we've never seen before like this, and I get it. But my God, the amount of control the government had on people's lives, it was unhuman. It was unconstitutional. It was bad, bro. It was really bad. And they used fear. They used endless amounts of fear and threats to make shit happen. And that's the part that pisses me off. We're supposed to have freedom. We're supposed to be able to make a choice for ourselves and for our family. Dude, I even got vaccines and shit. I was that guy. I will never put another one of them in my body again. My son never had it, never will. Not as long as I'm his guardian and I call the shot. But I did everything, bro. But you couldn't travel. You couldn't do nothing. You couldn't even go eat somewhere. Like they made it so it is so. Anyway,
it was hard, dude. It was hard. I don't envy anyone that was in a position to make any decisions during that time because especially in early days where hospitals were basically, they weren't even hospitals, they were morgues. Like there was nowhere to put bodies anymore.
I get it.
Like that was, and so for the government, it's like, well, anyone making decisions is like they have to walk a line between freedom, especially in places like North America or like any Western kind of like almost every country on earth at this point, like very minimal that aren't like that. Like, China had like military lockdown and shit, but like the walking the line between, we don't know 100% what we're up against. We know that it's killing, we know it's putting a lot of people in hospital and straining the system to the point where a lot of people are dying, and we're not going to have doctors and nurses left to be able to do anything if this keeps up. And so there's like, what can we do? And the answer to that early on was we have to be like insanely overreactive. Eventually we figured out, like anything, because we didn't know which protocols were effective and how much to turn the knob up on each of those protocols to get the most out of them. But like anything, when you get in a position where stuff like that starts to happen, then it can be manipulated, and people can take advantage of the situations, and make them worse than they needed to be. I don't think I could personally imagine a world in which we didn't have some form of lockdown early on, because just because like talking
it makes
with
sense. I'm with you on that.
M being in the hospital, we literally would have had like our entire system would have collapsed, and it would have been beyond catastrophic. I mean, places in the States had that. I mean, they were literally stacking people in refrigerators outside. They were putting people in closets in hallways. Like, it was insane. So like there was definitely a time where I would not envy any policymaker that had to wake up and go, what the fuck do I apply, especially like in the States, to 360 million people today to try and figure out how to get through this on the other side without everyone wanting to kill me. And honestly, I think that regardless of what they did, they were going to get fucking chewed out by whatever the other opposites. Because if they just let everything go, death would have been insane, and they would have got fucking reamed for the amount of deaths. Like, nobody's ever going to thank them for, like, maybe, the overreaction.
Florida, Florida did what Florida did.
But Florida's not exactly the barometer for literally anything in the world at all, period. Like, Florida got fucked.
I tell you right now, I would have if I was in the States, I would have rather have lived in Florida during COVID over almost any other state in America. And then as soon as that shit was done, I'd have been out. I mean, dude, I'm a healthy 35-year-old. I'm 36 now, but when I'm a healthy 30-something-year-old. I had COVID, all right? And, it sucked. You're going through it now. It's fucking shit. But to shut down my life completely, I mean, it is what it is. We could have this debate all day. And I don't even think we're really debating. But I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree. The lockdowns, I think, were necessary in the beginning. I sincerely think that. But the amount of time that went on,
it got abused.
Ludicrous.
I mean, that's what my stance on it is that it got to a point where things were getting abused to benefit certain groups of people. That's my stance on it.
Yeah. And just so people know, I'm not an anti-vaxxer.
No.
I got the vaccines. I'm not an anti-vaxxer at all. I've encouraged
those vaccines. I mean, we literally watched the data on a billions of people scale globally. We got to watch those vaccines do work in real time.
I mean, they did work, and there are some negatives. There were people that were affected negatively by that, and that's virtually, I get it. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you've got underlying conditions, like go get your vaccinations, right? It's no different than whatever. But the fact that the way that they strong-armed people and used extreme fear, that I didn't like. And now that the smoke is settled, people are actually waking up, and there's a lot of people that were like, all for the vaccine, and we're like, yeah, if you don't get the vaccine, man, you're going to get somebody else sick, and you're going to do this, you're going to do that. There's so much misinformation, and I think people are now, dude, if the government today came out and was like, hey, there's a new strain, which I think there is now.
There's been new strains every like 6 months, or like every 3 months.
Say
it's
if
constantly
there's like a new fucking rampant of COVID, and the government came in and said, hey guys, we're going on another fucking year lockdown, bruh, that ain't never happening again. Bro, the people, it would be pandemonium. It would be fucking, it just won't happen.
They
So,
bring
you
back
know-
they bring back masking and social
Masks,
distancing
okay,
and
sure.
stuff like that, but they never you wouldn't see like
I'm down.
you
for
wouldn't see you would unless we had a literal like resurgence of the actual Black Plague that was like killing 80% of the people it touched. You're not going to see the same thing
that.
that you just saw.
Bro. Well, and for one, it didn't kill 80% of the people that it touched.
No,
It was,
no,
like,
I'm saying
far less than 1%.
I'm saying you're not going to see. I'm saying
Yeah.
you're not going to see unless it's something
Yes.
like that.
Gotcha.
Then yeah. But
Yeah.
like if you're like it's going to be very challenging, especially for this generation, right? Like if you wait 20 years
Yeah.
and it's a generation that wasn't there, then
Makes
it
sense.
will be different.
Okay.
But for the people that were in our age group and in let's say junior high and up, that would be it'd be very difficult to convince them, especially to do on the extreme end, which again, unless the disease was so fucking bad, then it wouldn't be necessitated. And I don't think any of the health authorities would even go that route because
No.
again, we didn't know anything at day zero, and everything is like fly by the seat of your pants on a
we're
policy
learning
perspective.
things on the fly. You know,
So
we were just like fucking going
government,
with it, right?
businesses, individual people, everyone's operating on limited information and like imagine like we were at a time where like people were even if every piece of information that came out, let's say every piece of information that came out was 100% accurate because we already had the information, we already studied, we already knew. Even if you do that, what COVID showed is that it's very, very, very obvious that you can tell people a bunch of real-time information and give it to them. And this is stuff that we have that we're like, it's happening. This is the information we have, and here's some graphs. And most people do not know how to read a graph to save their life. And so they rely on some random YouTuber that will go on and do because it's like the same thing as like a celebrity. People will look to celebrity. It's the halo effect. They look to the person they trust because they watch movies of them. And if they say something, even if it's counter to something else that like you would think would make sense, they'll go with the halo effect every time.
Yeah.
Dude, people can't read graphs. They don't understand percentages. They don't understand how statistics work at all, which is not to say that I expect them to. But what happens is when all of this information came out, and this was the first event in our lifetimes where we had this level of information being disseminated amongst the general population because it was at the best interest to do so on the hopes that it would help, people understand policy. It did help, but it also hurt, like in a ratio that you would expect, almost
Well, it hurt
50-50.
credibility too, right? Because some things were wrong. They came out and they said some things, and then it was the complete opposite. And then the ones that were already against it go, see, I told you.
Which is super annoying because unfortunately, like they're telling you what they know at the time. But science, like anything, like 50 years ago, what we were doing to treat psychiatric patients would be seen as barbaric now, and it's only 50 years.
Yeah.
And that's because we learn things, and we were learning things in real time. And so people would take the learning in real time as malicious intent on every fucking corner and just assume that every piece of information that changed as we got more information was malicious. And that was the biggest hurdle for people that were being legitimate, because obviously they were bad actors, there always are. But for the people that were being legitimate, they were like, people would point at them and be like, why are you fucking lying? Be like, I wasn't
I'm
lying.
going by
It was
information that was.
This is what we had yesterday, and now this is what we have today. And I'm sorry that I didn't look into the future and have this information.
I think the thing that upset, I can say for me personally, but I think the thing that irritated me is and I know that maybe there'll be a lot of people here in the VOD or the chat that can agree, and maybe there's not, right? I think the thing that upset me and the thing that bugs me the most is people were silenced. And people were like, the amount of vile things that people would say, if you said
tribalism was at its peak during COVID.
It was on a fucking whole another level.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. I got my vax. I was telling people, hey, if you got underlying conditions, you want to be safe, I suggest getting the vaccine, right? I was doing my part.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But, as time went on, and I started getting more information from multiple sources, and I started to see the effect that, not the vaccine. I'm not even just talking just about the vaccine right now, but I'm talking about like COVID as a whole, and like the lockdowns and the fucking all of these measures. And I start, and I'm weighing, because I was on that scare train. I'll be honest, I was scared. I was a new father. I have a son at home. I
think most sane people were scared when they were seeing the hospital start to fill up, and it was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Yes, and even though primarily it was older people that had, compromised immune systems, or people that have, heart conditions and other conditions, they were the ones that really being affected. Even, and I feel for all of those people. It's sad when one person loses a life. It doesn't matter if they're 90 years old or they're 20. It's not a good thing. It's sad. It's not good. But like, I'm a new father. I've got a son at home. There's no vaccine made for him. I have the news and social media telling me that, we're fucked. And like I've never experienced something like this in my life, where, I've had flus and colds, and, it's fine. People get sick, and, it's whatever. Hospitals are filling up. Everything's being shut down. We're going to the grocery store. We're bringing food home, and we're wiping down packages before we put them in the cupboard in the fridge.
Yeah, because nobody knew if that was necessary or not to like stop yourself. This is the insanity.
Yes, this was what I went through, and there's probably lots of people that can relate to this and these feelings. So I go through all this, and then I start to see the negative effects. I start to see kids not in school. Kids can't play with other kids. My son is locked up in the house. I'm cooped up in the house. I can't. And I live at home. Like, literally, I work, sleep, eat, shit, fuck at home. This is what I do. But like, I'm even feeling cooped up and claustrophobic almost. I can't do nothing. I can't. Life is just off. And then tons of people are getting depressed. People are angry. People are upset. There's so much fear going on. It's endless fear. It's like thing after thing. My wife is glued to her fucking phone and the news. And it's like, I got to listen to every single fucking update all the time. And my life is already on the internet. And I'm going through all this. And then I start to think to myself, well, why can't I make a decision for my own life and my family's life? If I don't want to give my son a vaccine, or I don't want to get another booster shot, or I want to go to this restaurant and I don't feel like doing X, Y, and Z, why can't I speak out about my frustrations? The moment I talk about anything that is the opposite of fear, control, and this is what you will do, or you are enemy number one, I start naturally wanting to be a rebellion. I naturally just say, no, fuck you. No. I'm a grown man. I can make my own decisions for me and my family. Who are you to tell me? You told me what to do for long enough. I need to get out. I need to get the fuck out. Dude, you can't make this shit up. There was a police. There were people that were outside walking. And they were from me to that door. And the police are like, you need to spread out more. Outside. And I'm thinking to myself, now that I'm out of it, now I'm out of the fucking fog. What the fuck? How? How did we get there? How did we get there? But you were vilified. You were fucking vilified if you said anything on the opposite. And that's the thing that I didn't like, and I still don't like, even still today. And I think that's why now, when you see news about COVID and stuff, people are like, "No, fuck this, bro. Don't." I'm just getting back to my life. Bro, if I get COVID, I get COVID. I mean, it is what it is, right? But it's still a real thing, and it's still a real thing, and it's still killing people, and it's sad, and it's not a good thing at all. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not anti-fucking, whatever this is, but I'm just a human that just reached this breaking point on what you can show me and tell me. And now that you hear some of the things, and like you fucking said, they're learning on the fly. I can't be super mad for them telling me. I mean, I could be, but I'm an adult and I have a brain. So like I can fucking conceptualize what actually happened to a degree. They tell me that like you should get a vaccine or you're going to hurt because that was the big campaign when it first started. If you don't get the vaccine, you're not doing it for you. You're doing it for everybody else. But we learned that, like, bro, you get the vaccine, it's not going to change the fact that you can still transmit it to whoever. It's not lowering the virus. You know, yeah, for you're gonna have. I'm sure if you didn't get the vax, right, your symptoms probably be worse, right? Or maybe, you know, I don't know. I mean, that's the I'm going by the science, right?
We know that much that at this point, without question, yeah. I mean, the vaccine gives you an underlying amount of. It doesn't. It's not immunity. It just stops the severity, or it lessens the severity of the disease,
Correct.
which is what many vaccines do. That's part of the problem too. Was that like how it was being described to people? When people think vaccines, they think of the shit that they get in school or for school, and like where the success rate is like, or like the immunity rate's like 98%. So you never hear, it's like once in a blue moon, like mumps will show up, like literally once every 15 years. And it's because it's a 98% like immunity rate. And so, but you hear vaccine, that's what you think. So when they say vaccine and people were getting this one, and the disease is unfortunately mutating on a fucking bi-weekly basis, the core part of the vaccine or of the disease stayed the same. So you were getting a reduction of the severity of the disease, but you were still going to catch it. Because the disease is changing. And then that's, but you're right. The discussion around, well, like, get a vaccine. If anyone ever told you get a vaccine so that you don't give this disease to somebody else, that was just, at no point was that ever even conventional scientific wisdom. That was just people making shit up. Like,
the news was saying it, bro.
Well, the news is fucking insane. Like,
dude, it's so, anyway, it's just crazy. What happened?
But again, like, you always think about how at some point after we got more and more knowledge, at some point you had to realize, and everyone did, that there are points in which, from a political perspective and business perspective, certain things will benefit groups of people, and that happens every time because people will abuse that situation.
A lot of billionaires are made off that vax, bro.
Tons. Well, at the same time with like the vaccine, like and you know me, I'm like. I can be as anti-billionaire as anyone else can be, because I like the odds of me thinking that anyone is worth $1 billion versus anyone else in their company is so slim that I don't even believe it. But the if you have 4 or 5 companies on Earth that actually have the technology to churn out a vaccine based on mRNA studies that have been in the works for like decades previous that we spun into this, and they're going to make like nobody's going to do that shit for free. I mean, it's like, and nobody would even, I think, assume that was ever going to be really done for free. Once in a blue moon, you'll have somebody come up with something like penicillin or some shit, and then they're like, I don't want money, and it makes it relatively cheap, unless you're in the States, so they find a way to make it like $700 a fucking vial. But like for everyone else, like that once in a while that happens. But in this instance, like I was never going to be like, well, fuck me.
Well, it's not. I'm a capitalist, so I'm not against people making money. But at the same time,
they made money.
But they made endless money and still are.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you're forcing the population to not make money.
Yes.
But there are entities that are printing money because of this vaccine, and you're telling people that it does X, Y, and Z, when in reality it didn't necessarily. It might have done X and a bit of Y. But not Z. Didn't really. It might not have happened with Z. And then it's like, okay, well now we've got this new version and blah blah blah. Dude, I was watching. I think it was either the Oscars or Music Awards. It was sponsored by Pfizer. I mean, this is where we're at right now.
Oh yeah, it was sponsored by. Yeah.
That's
and the optics.
That's
the optics,
some crazy shit, bro.
The optics was really tough to sell. Where you're gonna mandate vaccines for certain things, but then. It's a mandated vaccine, but a vaccine being done by a company that's making all this money in real time. And normally you don't see that as a person, right? Like when you go to school, you have vaccines for your kids because you have to, because nobody wants to have mumps and measles fucking kill a whole bunch of children. So everyone has their vaccines when they're young. And nobody thinks about the fact that the companies that made those made fucking ass tons of money up front and continue to make money. But we never see that in real time. This was everyone's the real time nature of this is
surreal.
Is why so many of these things were both abusable and also why so much of it was hard to discern fact from fiction and whatnot, and take the heat out of it because you were watching it in real time. Nobody ever get to see that happen before. This is the internet, everything, the amount of the speed in which information can be spread is both a positive and a negative. It's a double-edged sword.
Yep.
The who people trust in these times is very important, and it can change on a fucking like a turn of a dime. You can go from somebody whose entire life's work has been specifically for this thing, and they're coming out and saying something, and then like Brad Pitt, I'm not saying Brad Pitt did this shit, but Brad Pitt could then come out and say some different shit, and people are like, well, do I go with the person that spent the last 45 years dedicating their life to all of this work, or man, Brad was pretty fucking good in that movie last week, and I like him, so maybe Brad Pitt. But that's how people's brains work, and it's really hard to not want to change and go after something when, like you were saying, you start to go stir crazy because you feel like you have no autonomy. And so you start looking for, you want to blame something and get angry at something. And in that instance, in that time, everyone wanted to be angry at something, but how are you supposed to be angry at a disease? It's not sentient in the sense that you can't go yell at it in person. You can't tell COVID to fuck itself and have it give a shit about it. So you have to displace all of this pent-up fucking rage and these emotions of you've got family members that probably died, or friends that died, or they're irreversibly ill with long COVID where they're like now 2 years deep where they can't be awake for more than fucking 7 hours at a time without sleeping for the next 15. They like all this shit going on, you're angry. And then you're being told to stay home, which you might have been okay with up front, but after a while, even if you know there's a chance that you could get fucked, like you start to go, you literally start to go stir crazy.
I'd rather get fucked by COVID. If this is it.
And so that changes and things, and while all this is happening in the background, like ironically, is that while there were abused mechanisms, 100%. Is that a lot of the public health measures that were put in place are the reason why, ironically, things that people point at and go, well, it wasn't that bad, are because the public health measures were there. If you had just raw dogged this bitch globally, Jesus Christ.
I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm sure that there'll be some kind of, I mean, we'll talk about this for centuries, right? This will be in the history books. Yeah. But I am curious to know what things would have been like if they just allowed, like herd immunity happen, people just,
we know with a degree of accuracy with previous plagues and shit, right? So we know that what would happen was the spike would be obviously fucking huge, right? It would spread like wildfire, and it would affect a whole bunch more people in a much shorter period of time, which was often the problem. It was the amount of people in the period of time, right? It wasn't spread out. It was this shit was spreading 4 times to 7 times faster in some instances than flu. And so you couldn't, like, people were getting wiped off like the face of the earth. And I don't mean death, but I just mean getting sick at rates way faster than most diseases. And so it became very hard to control in a medical setting. So if you did that, it would, one, I promise you, at least here in Nova Scotia, our hospitals literally collapse. We would not have a single worker available to do anything. They would have all burnt out and been dead or both. And that I can just say from having had a person that was working it the whole time. That would have been really bad. That would have been the same in places like New York as well. New York got it real fucking bad. They had people piling up outside. That was with public health measures. So the spike would have been terrible. Would the whole world have collapsed and died simultaneously? No, of course not. Would it have been an insane fucking period to go through and then have to try and find people to get back in to be able to replace the people that were out and didn't have vaccines and caught it and got long COVID or like irreversible lung damage or heart damage, and then people in the medical field to be nurses and doctors and janitorial services, which, by the way, fucking God bless the janitors and the fucking garbage people that kept that shit fucking going. Well, like, nobody fucking thinks about those people, literally fucking ever. But they were like, imagine what a janitor was doing during peak COVID. Christ almighty, that shit would have been fucking atrocious. So all that shit, trying to bring all of the underlying shit that underpins civilization in the Western world would have been fucked. Not irreparably, but severely. And who knows how long it would have taken to claw back, and what the expense on the long-term health costs of the populace would have been, because what we see right now is that even with what we had, where we've reduced long COVID dramatically with vaccines, we watched that, we had that information, that's just a fact. If you took that out and long COVID cases were as high as they would have been if you just let this shit cure herd immunity throughout the entire population, the effective cost on taxpayers or just out-of-pocket expense, if you're in somewhere like the States or you have insurance trying to pay this shit out, would have been, if you think money was being made on the fucking vaccines, Jesus Christ, the private health sector on long COVID would have been printing money like the government was printing money at peak fucking COVID for the next fucking 50 years until all these people died. Because it would have been, and that's the true cost, would have been the long-term health effects on the number of people that got hit. In Canada, where we have subsidized healthcare, bro, forget about it. You want to talk about inflation? Nah, we don't have the tax base here for that. We don't have the tax base to be able to float that shit. We're having a hard time floating obesity problems in terms of the weight, no pun intended, on the healthcare system. If you put 40% of the populace with long COVID issues or damage to lungs and heart, which the early, especially
40%
Delta.
40% of people, but the long COVID only affects a small portion of.
But I'm not saying long COVID, but like lung and heart damage, which we know that is in a much higher percentage of people, and so like that would have been bad. That would have been really bad.
Yeah, who knows?
Would I want to have lived through either of those scenarios? No. Am I happy that we didn't try to go? Am I personally happy that we didn't try to herd immunity that shit? I gotta be honest. Yes. I think that would have been living right now, you and I, the economy, very different world. Very different world.
But there'd be, people that may not be.
You're in the top 0.01%. So the 99.
0.01. God damn, how good do you think I'm living over here? God damn.
Globally.
Okay,
in North America, you're the one.
Right.
You're definitely 1% in North America, no doubt.
I can handle the one, but
0.01 globally. You only need to make $32,000 a year to be in the top 1% globally. So you're like, but if you reduce it to North America changes.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, it would have been bad. It would have been down bad. I would have been fucked for sure. Like M and I combined income would not have been enough to survive whatever fucking onslaught that would have brought. No doubt in my fucking mind. Because like at the same time, not to drag this on any longer, like just the gas thing alone, with the gas is affected by a bunch of shit. The majority of it is unfortunately because Saudi Arabia is looking at the world changing to green technology. They go, all right, we have a finite amount of time to sell people as much fucking oil as humanly possible, and we also conveniently control so much global supply that we can dramatically affect pricing if we need to. They spent the current head of Saudi Arabia, young guy, said, all right, we need to change how we make money. Our GDP can't be entirely reliant on oil anymore. We can't. This country will literally collapse if we we have money now, but it won't last forever. We need outs. And unfortunately, Saudi Arabia is basically desert. Not a lot of upside to Saudi Arabia outside of oil. But you know what they did? He decided to spend all the money they have right now, $3 trillion on this plan to change their economy to have more sustainability outside of oil. $3 trillion. I don't know people even conceptualize what $3 trillion is.
No, they actually can't.
$3 trillion. So, what do? Well, that's a lot of money even for Saudi Arabia, so they have to come up with the money. What do they do then? Well, they have oil, and they can control a lot of it. So they control the supply to raise the amount of money that is currently being charged for their oil all over the place in order to make back some of the $3 trillion that they're using to ironically move away from an oil-based economy. That by itself is fucking the oil price. If you took every other factor out, that one's bad. But we've got so much shit going on. And then on top of that, like you were saying earlier, then you have like Trudeau, who's virtue signaling his hair off his head to be like carbon tax. Which is already insane because like the average person's carbon footprint it pales in comparison to the big industry. Like one tanker in the ocean is like the entire province of Nova Scotia. And so to pass on the burden of reducing carbon emissions almost in its entirety
Yes,
like the vast
on
majority,
us.
to the average person is so fucking insane. So to do that at the peak of oil cost is just a meme.
At the peak of everything, the peak of inflation, oil, fucking, I mean, everything. Now he's doing it. So yeah, bro, I go on a weekly Justin Trudeau rant at this point. Just because like I just listen to this dude, bro, and I'm just like, you are one of the biggest, dumbest idiots that I think I've ever seen in my life.
He's political theater, which makes sense because he was
just
brought
a
up.
good-looking dude that fucking he's been in politics his whole life. And listen, he's done some good for the country. He's done some good for the country. But bro, he's out of touch,
gone
man.
off the rail. He's gone off the rails a bit. Yeah,
bro. And then he even fucking called for a vote in the middle of COVID. Like, what are you doing, man? Get over yourself, bro. This guy is a complete fucking tool. And yeah, I mean, him and his wife are now, I guess, they're divorcing and shit. This dude's going through it. Bro.
Could be worse. I guess could be Mitch McConnell having mini strokes not live on national TV every second Tuesday.
Yeah, I saw that.
That actually just hurts to watch. They like Mitch McConnell's one of the most evil politicians to have ever lived, and even then, I'm watching it going, because you know what it means? It means that the people that are in the party are puppeting a dude who is long gone.
Oh yeah,
and so he's just rubber stamping shit in a vegetative fucking state. Bro, well, people like walk in from both sides of the camera and they're like, "Hey, Mitch, did you hear the question? Would you like them to speak up?" And Mitch is like, literally, flat affect, nothing, mini stroke, real time, and they're like, "Oh, you want to speak louder so he can hear you?" It ain't the loudest. Mitch is just literally in onset dementia. Just you gotta get it. He's like fucking Alzheimer's. Get him out of there.
Sounds like somebody else in office. Sounds like somebody else. But anyway,
yes,
I won't even
true.
get there.
Oh, there's lots of them. We need term limits on age. Period.
Seriously.
If you have to be 30 to be like entry point, and then 35 I think it's 35 in the States for presidency, then if we know within reason that you need a certain amount of world experience before you're put in those positions, which I think is smart.
You should.
Then there should probably, shot in the dark on this one, maybe put an upper limit on that bitch for similar reasons. I don't know. Maybe there's a point where somebody who's 80 years old that every policy they make they will never see because they're going to die should probably not be the one making these decisions. They might have knowledge, but they shouldn't be there.
And when they die, their policies are going to get removed by the next person that comes through. And it
maybe.
It will, right? So, yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. It's a mess. It's a hot mess. I don't know how we got here, but we got here. And
it's been 3 weeks. It's been a month since the podcast. We were set for a 3 hour, 20-minute banger.
We were due, right? We talked about fucking COVID. We talked about real estate, the housing market. We went a little political, which, I've been doing more and more as I get older because I'm just like more fucking.
It's like when you look back when you were younger, you're like, why are all these old people talking politics? And then you get older, and you're like, fuck. Yeah, that's why.
Well, because we're affected by it so when you're young, you don't fucking realize. You just pick a side and you vote, and then that's that. You don't really know what you're voting, or at least I didn't. Now I do. And I've voted on both sides.
I voted all three here in Canada.
No, I can't go NDP, bro. I can't go on.
Let me preface that. Provincially, I've done all three. Federally, I've done the two. I'm not that.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I just like.
Although I will say, NDP did have a candidate that and then he unfortunately passed away. But that man actually could have been the only reason that NDP were legitimate, and then he went away, and now they are anything but legitimate.
That's another whole slew of fucking ass going on. That camp is just they're on a fucking.
They're the spend money, but we don't know where it comes from camp in a world that is so far removed from reality, it scares even me.
Yeah,
that one's crazy.
It's not good, but anyway, I'm done. We need to. I need
StarCraft.
Well, yeah, and I need to put food in my mouth, so I'm gonna need like 10 minutes after this because I haven't. I'm
sweating a storm up right now. We're making the magic happen. It's a 3.5 hour fucking banger. While you get your food, I'll put this into fucking Adobe and watch it grind its gears for the next fucking 10 minutes. But we will see you guys for StarCraft And we will see you guys next week. Thank you very much for stopping by. If you caught this live, or if you listened to us on the RSS feeds, patreon.com/LikeTV is the place to go if you want to help support Jeff and I talk random bullshit for the next God knows how long with this economy, as long as humanly possible, as long as you're paying. And so until we see you next week, stay safe out there, and peace!
Hey.